Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Do you feel the pain? Well, it's the pain I can assure you will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time, obsessed with the issue of violence. Mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Good evening, folks. Thanks for joining us for episode 132 of Double Feature Horror Show. And oh, look at that. You get the guest list up and suddenly this video is so much more monetizable on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Fox. You've saved this channel's monetization. You absolute champ.
Fox is going to get cancelled for groping.
Oh, I hope you asked permission there. I hope you're well, everybody. Welcome, chat. I'm seeing loads of regulars in there. Good to see you. I hope you're excited, looking forward to Christmas. This is our first show of December. Quick brain check. Yes, it's our first show of December. And we decided we're going to mix it up a little bit. It was going to be early Wes Craven or obscure Wes Craven or this. And I just thought let's have a grab bag. Tonight's show is kind of a very good representative of what we're going to do in December. We're going to have a grab bag. There's a bunch of random stuff that I thought would be interesting. And I just thought, let's not do any heavy topics. Let's take it easy. Let's have some fun. Let's mix it up. And tonight, it's going to be an absolute mix of things. We're covering 8 very interesting, extremely different horror shorts that were recommended by, is he in the chat? Patrick Batman. Again, amazing name, amazing avatar. Recommended most of these. I added a couple. You might say crammed them in. One of them you might say has no business being here whatsoever. I'll leave it to you to decide which one that is. But I thought it would be a fun experiment. And it does sort of fit in a way because this whole year we've been doing horror. Gosh, my brain's messed up, guys. What's the word? Horror anthologies. We've been doing horror anthologies. And in a way, isn't an anthology just a way of isn't it just a sandwich for horror shorts? What do you reckon? Fox, TCG? Yeah. An anthology is a sandwich for horror shorts.
We'll go for it, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, that sounded convincing. I thought there was a way of tying this in. That's all confusing. Let's get some introductions in. We'll do a bit of shilling and then we'll start the stream. So a returning guest who this now is halfway to a tradition. We only have one more of these to do, and we've got a pattern, Fox, because the last time you were on was last December, and we covered Violent Night.
I can't believe it's been a year. It's pretty crazy. How different as well are these episodes from Violent Night to a horror short anthology? But I'm very excited to talk about these because as a young person with interest in film, obviously shorts are quite near and dear to my heart. So very excited to get into this.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I like that you're going for the variety. You were up for this. I remember you said you liked the horror comedy, and I'd forgotten that. So when I did think when you said that, oh gosh, what have I put you through? But I'm going to be very interested in your takes on these.
Well, I first and foremost, probably horror comedy might be my favorite taste of horror. But when it comes to like shorts and stuff, I can definitely get down with them because, again, as someone who's young with an interest in film, short films are kind of like my bread and butter. And so to watch some of these, many of which I look at them and I think, oh, I could make them at home with my friends. You know, a lot of these don't even seem too high budget. These are attainable ideas that I could take for my own work, because I'd love next year. I really want to get into some short filmmaking. It's very, you know, thank you for letting me do this homework because I've kind of needed to have a look at some of these.
Oh, no problem at all. It's a pleasure. And you got me quite intrigued there, saying that you're interested in trying making your own shorts. I mean, do you think a horror, or do you think more of a comedy? Do you have an idea?
So, like, for me personally, screenwriting is something that I really enjoy, and I'd hope over the next couple of years I can develop, I guess, working on my own scripts and stuff. And I have a few ideas for, you know, longer form things, but I've got a few ideas for also short films. None of them I don't think are horror, although I did we'll get into this actually when we watch one of the when we talk about one of the shorts. There was a my second script I ever wrote was at university, and it was actually kind of similar to one of these shorts, like in terms of, I guess, maybe the skeleton of how they're structured. In terms of what's actually on screen, very much different, but the kind of main story beats are actually very similar to a short film that I wrote. Theirs was definitely, you know, I've got to assume that the screenplay was a lot better than mine, but yeah, it's I've not thought of anything too sinister yet, but I do know they tend to say that horror is the best genre to get into because it's a lot cheaper to make and stuff, and the profit margins are a lot higher. So it's definitely something as a young person that wants to kind of step into filmmaking a little bit that I've always had to keep my eye on.
Oh, well, I'm delighted to hear this. It's totally new to me, and I love the sound of it. I'd remind, you know, I'd just say, like, a lot of these were made for under $5,000.
Yeah.
So absolutely possible. And they say if you can make a good horror, you can make pretty much anything.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't go for him now. I actually stand up for him quite a lot. But M. Night Shyamalan, you buy a lot of his DVDs. He's got the early shorts he made himself on there. A lot of people start off that way. I think that's really cool of you.
Thanks.
Oh, we should also say, like, people should know. But Fox, what do you cover in case no one has checked your channel out?
Oh yeah, so I tend to cover controversies, scandals, kind of things of tension, mainly within, I guess, social media and pop culture. So my most recent video was about Vine controversies. I made one about that before, about unhinged incidents of anime weebs.
Are you sure, Fox? I mean, that's a pretty stable community.
Yeah, just anything with a bit of controversy, a bit of drama, a bit of tension, especially when it comes to, like, the internet and social media. I like to talk about various stories from basically, yeah, any forms of social media or websites.
Nice. Folks, there is a link to Fox's channel in the description. I obviously, anyone who comes on here is a good egg. Highly recommended.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. And of course, my regular co-host, who's going to hate me for this. Why has he got to play that song so loud? Because he wants to. Why he always got to run in crowds? Because he wants to. It's that crime guy.
No, I actually have a funny story about that song.
Oh, damn it. You got it?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, it's Billy Piper, isn't it?
Oh, I went into the depths for that one.
No, see, you can't get that one past me. No, there's a very, very good story behind that song, right? So, I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago, there was this fad going around where a bunch of, like, boy racers would, like, pull up into supermarket car parks. It was basically around the time, I think, the first like Fast and Furious films came out, and so everyone was trying to, you know, be like the characters from them, and you know, bring in their little crappy little sports cars along. And at the time, I was in my mate's car, and it was like a crappy old banger, right? Absolutely adorable, but a crappy old banger. And there were a bunch of like boy racers parked outside Tesco with their bonnets up, you know, showing all of the like flashy mod cons in their cars. So me and my mate,
Tesco value Too Fast Too Furious.
Basically, yep. And so me and my mate, we rolled our windows down, we cranked up the volume, and we played Billy Piper's Because I Want To, and we're both heads out the windows, and we're just driving past them like at walking pace, like head banging, and the looks that we got, oh my god.
Oh, nice.
Also, Billy Piper's hot, so
yeah. I served her a drink once. True story.
Did you?
Yes. I was a temp at when they did the Doctor Who season 2 wrap party. Fun times. Times. All right. I thought, you know, I should have known better. I thought that deep pull of a song would have thrown you off, but never mind.
It's too mainstream and like right in my age range, that song.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Dollface has just got an interesting one here. Okay, I'm going to lose all credibility with you now for a second. Dollface is written, in case you're just listening to this. I know a lot of people just treat this like a podcast, which is bizarre to me, but it's absolutely fine. Dollface has written, I feel like you could make a good horror anthology where the framing device is like a child sneaking onto the family computer to watch a cursed YouTube playlist at night. You absolutely could. And for a fun, weird fact, the terrible movie 42, had 2 versions. This was like a cursed comedy anthology with some surprisingly big name stars. Like it has a segment where Hugh Jackman has balls on his chin. Was it movie 43? Yeah, I think it was that one. They had 2 different wraparound stories. One was a guy coming in to pitch these as movies, and another one, I think it was the European version, was about a bunch of kids sneaking onto YouTube and watching this stuff on a cursed playlist. Oh, sorry, forgive the coughing there, folks. You just made me think of that, Dollface. How dare you? I never want to think of movie 43 again. But there we go. All right. Random tangent aside. TCG, you didn't shill. We should have shilled.
This guy's got nothing to shill. Unfortunately, no stream tomorrow night, no quiz tomorrow night because something's come up. So it's one of the pitfalls of streaming on a Friday night. It's because it's the most social night of the week, really. So yeah, but we'll definitely be back next week. In terms of videos, I have very little time at the moment. Work is incredibly busy, but I want to try and get something out as soon as I possibly can. But yeah, that's it really.
Fair play. I'll do my own. It's very quick. Well, folks, you know we're on YouTube. If you want to support the stream, if you want more things to happen, more ambitious projects, if you want me to feel less guilty when I order research material to be imported from the US, then you can support this channel via super chats, via memberships, which either here or on Subscribestar. And if you go via the memberships, that is my preferred option. Because basically, then I can reward you. I can give you exclusive access. Members don't actually tell people what the exclusive content's like. Come on, I've got to encourage them. Don't give the game away. But I did drop a member exclusive last week in advance of Napoleon coming out. I know a load of people are excited about Napoleon, and I dropped a video for you people. And members seem to not entirely hate it. And I will say no more about that video. And in other exciting news, I've been reporting this over weeks. This is a pain that I don't think true crime channels have to know. But I finally got through the barbed wire and Passchendaele deep mud of YouTube's copyright system. And the Scream 6 video, it's cleared. I've got it past everything, guys. We've broken through the censorship barrier.
Whee!
I know.
Congrats.
I know. I mean, I finished it in mid-October. Then, oh gosh, it's gone through so much, but it's all right. So I am provisionally looking at Saturday 16th. We'll do a premiere. Get your eggnog, get your mulled wine, turn up. And I'm forewarning you, as you've heard me say many times, it is long. It's 2 hours and 41 minutes. But if Diatrip can drop 3 hours and 40 on Elliot Rodgers, I feel I can drop 2 hours 41 on Scream 6.
That was an insane video as well. Diatrips. Because he almost had his channel banned for that one.
Did he?
Yeah,
I was going to ask him how
that-
it went, because I didn't get any notifications for that whatsoever. And I'd seen him mention a massive documentary. I thought, that sounds really interesting. What's he done it on? And I never heard anything about it. I just checked today, like, crikey, it's been out a while.
That's the one that was the one that caused him all the aggro, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember he told me YouTube didn't like him saying he was the first of his kind.
Right.
And that got him demonetized for the past, I think, month or so.
Really?
Fully channel demonetized the entire thing. So he, up until only a few weeks ago, he had to be considering potentially starting a new channel or just relying on Patreon and like memberships and stuff.
Oh my gosh, I've been so busy in work, I have totally missed this. Poor guy.
He's all right now. If anything, he's actually, his most recent video has been out for about 24 hours and it's got about 150,000 views. So he's doing just fine. But,
right.
you know,
But
it was a
tell
bit
you what,
scary for
guys,
a moment.
Tell you what, let's do an extra one. If you fancy it, check out Diatrip. He's been on the channel. He's a lovely guy. Check him out. He's been ambitious. He's tried a big documentary. Pop Diatrip's latest video on your list. Send him a bit of love. I know we're a tiny channel, but you know it all helps. It all helps, and he's a good lad. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out. All right, folks. Well, we've done our shills. We've had a little talk. Shall we get into discussing horror shorts?
Let's do it.
All right, sweet. We're mixing it up because I wasn't exactly sure how to do this one. So what I thought I'd try is a good old-fashioned tier list.
Oh, love tier lists.
Oh, hang on. How are we going to do this? How about that? Yeah?
That works.
Yeah.
I want to do a tier list so bad, but the problem is, it's just I don't know how it would be perceived.
Oh, for your particular niche interest.
Yeah, for my particular niche.
All right, yeah. Yeah, there's when it comes to, say, rating criminals, there is a certain, like, how do you play that?
That's dicey. You got to think about that one.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't rank them in terms of coolness, obviously. I think it'd have to be like shock factor. And but you know that there's people out. I mean, poor Wendigoon at the moment. I mean, people are railing on him at the moment for absolutely no reason. So I just want to take this opportunity now to say I stand with Wendigoon.
I saw the tweet that he was referencing as well. It was the most delusional, like, whoever, like, there was no substance to it whatsoever. The person clearly just didn't like him. And then I guess all of his haters just banded on board with that. And that was a bit, it's awful because he does seem like such a sweet guy.
He's literally the internet's uncle. That's how I view him. He's such a he seems like such a chill dude. I mean, obviously I've never interacted with him, but I think I know people that have. And
I have once.
Oh, there you go then. So I do know people who've interacted with him. And he seems proper down to earth. Go on. I love that his stuff is just so simple in terms of its presentation. You know, a bearded man with a whiteboard. And it works so well.
Yeah,
it really does. Yeah, it really does work so well. I love his content.
The internet is where we go to get attacked for no reason whatsoever. So.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, guest's choice, Fox. We did 8 shorts. Do you have a preference for which we start with? You got an absolute free choice.
I mean, to be honest, I started with just the one you sent me first. I just went through the list one by one.
Yeah, same here.
So the first one I saw was Tuck Me In.
Oh,
so I guess we can start with that one.
All right.
Oh,
There we go. There we go. I love this one. All right. Would you like to give people a short summary? I mean, I don't know if you can do a long summary of this film. It's like 59 seconds long.
Yeah, are we allowed to provide spoilers? Are we describing what happened?
Yeah.
We will. Full spoilers for absolutely everything. Something I tend to forget to say every single week. But,
Okay.
you know, people still turn up and think all I'm doing is posting the whole movie, and they get so annoyed. Why aren't you posting a pirated movie? No, full spoilers, full spoilers. Rock on. This is Tuck Me In.
What, me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Fox. Rock on. Give us,
All right.
give us the summary.
A synopsis is father walks in. I think his son's named Alex. He walks into his son's Alex's room, and of course he's tucking him into bed. Kid looks maybe about 3 or 4, and he says, "Hey, Dad." Does he say, "Hey, Dad, can you look under my bed first?" I think he says, like, "Can you tuck me in first?" or something.
Yeah,
He's like, "Oh yeah, cool."
That's it.
Yes, yeah, that's it. So he comes in, he's about to leave. Son's like, "Oh, Dad, can you tuck me in?" He's like, "Oh yeah, of course, yeah." So he goes in, kisses him on the head, and tucks him in. And then the child says, "Hey, Dad, can you look under my bed for monsters?" To which the dad says, "Yes, of course." And he looks under the bed. To his shock and horror, he sees his son, which clearly surprises him because his son should be in his bed. He looks back up, and his son is in his bed. And then I believe it just cuts to black.
Yeah,
the son
when
gives a bit of a creepy look.
Yeah, when he looks under the bed, and the kid goes, "Daddy, there's something on my bed."
Yes. Which is obviously, I mean, it is an amazing. This is the exact kind of thing that I was talking about earlier. This is an attainable movie that anyone could make if they had an idea for a short film. It's 59 seconds. It's one location. It's 2 actors. Budget probably 0. There's no crazy effects or anything. I thought it was a really good short.
Yeah.
Henry, this would be a great trick to play on a babysitter of your twins.
Oh, wouldn't you love it? Adam Loves Horror dropping $2 straight away. Thank you. Thanks for Scream. Some of these what? Oh, is this an advance of Scream 6? Oh, well, I hope it's good now, mate. Since you've super chatted me, some of these rocked my worldview. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I had a great time with these. I really enjoyed these, and I hope you're going to enjoy the Scream 6 since you've put down a down payment on it. I've watched this a bunch, by the way, a few times. I saw it years and years ago. This was not the one suggested in the list, but I thought I've got to cram it in. But it was only this time watching it back I noticed there's a good subtlety in it. Do you see that stuffed toy behind the kid?
Yeah.
Yep.
If you rewatch it, there's a duplicate of that toy as well on the floor.
Oh yes, yeah. I can envision it in my mind now.
That's such a cool trick. Just like you've got that duplication, but it's a nice detail. But all of this works because, as you say, it's such a simple one, and you're just left with this ambiguity.
Yes.
If you're gonna put your money on it, which is the original? What do you reckon?
I don't know.
I did make a guess.
I mean, I would probably. I don't know. Jesus wept. I'd probably guess. Oh, man, the kid on top of the bed, maybe, because why would the. You see, I'm in 2 minds because why would he prompt the dad to look under the bed unless it was to, freak him out? I don't know. I don't know. It would literally be a flip of a coin for me. I mean, what I loved about this is, I put myself in the role of the dad in this scene because I was just, it was so effective for that short amount of time. it was almost like the perfect 2-sentence horror film. Horror script. Have you ever seen those? Where it's like you write a horror story in 2 sentences. This is what it felt like to me, and it just felt like it was brilliantly executed. And I was like, oh my god, man! I mean, this is why my kids' beds don't actually have like. Actually, no, tell a lie, my son's does, but it's crammed full of like his boxes and stuff. So there is no possibility of a monster doing something like this to me. But it really played on the fears I used to have as a kid when. When I used to like fear monsters under the bed, and it was just you didn't even have to. It didn't even have to go all like scary faces and like jump scares and stuff. It was just the doppelganger. Oh man.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think for me, it almost reminds me of that that horror story about I think it's the blind woman with the dog under the bed. About like the devil,
what's that?
Dogs aren't the only things that lick or something. That one.
Oh my god, really? Oh.
Do you know this one?
I don't know it. No.
Oh, okay. So the story goes that there's a blind woman who has a dog in her house, and it's only her and the dog. And it goes. I'm going to completely butcher it, but basically, every night she gets into her bed, and she just to make sure the dog's in the bedroom, she puts a hand under the bed, and the dog licks it. And I think one day, I've forgotten the ending to it. Someone's gonna know it in the comments or something, because it was quite a notorious one when I was a kid. But basically, the assumption is, no, it's not a blind woman. Sorry, she can see, but obviously when she turns the lights off, it's pitch black. And then one day, she does it. She's kind of scared. She puts her hand under the bed. She feels a lick. So she knows the dog's under there. And then she goes, I think, out into like her bathroom, and she sees her dog dead, kind of hanging up in the bathroom. And she realizes what's been licking her hand was not the dog; it was something under the bed.
That's the one.
Oh my god!
That's it.
Ah, nasty.
I remember hearing about that one when I was a child, and it kind of reminds me of this. My assumption for this one, though, is that the boy in the bed is the doppelganger, and the one underneath the bed is the real one. And I say that only because of the shot from the boy in the bed when he looks back.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Fear. It kind of looked maybe like it was sinister, ambiguous, I guess. My only proposal for the boy under the bed being the bad one was that when the dad walks in, the son under the bed makes no sound whatsoever. He just kind of, obviously, it would ruin the short film if he does say, "Hey, Dad, I'm under here."
Yeah, Dad, help me.
But he stays very quiet until the dad goes to check on him under the bed. So my assumption, that might make me think that he's the bad one, but I think the little boy on the bed was doing it just to mess with the dad. He was the evil one all along.
Yeah,
He was like, have a look under there. That's just my. It's ambiguous for a reason. I guess you're not meant to
you
know.
can. Yeah, you can also argue as well that if the real kid was under the bed, then him making no noise could have just purely been because he was so scared.
Yes, that's also
When he saw his dad, he knew, okay, that's my dad. I can say something now.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, neither of them act super scared, which I really like.
Yeah.
I lean towards the one in the kid being the one because he's just kind of triumphant. The way he says, "Oh, Dad, you forgot to check."
Yeah.
It's like he's totally in control of the situation. It's so beautifully sinister.
Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, real kid under the bed.
Yeah, it's to fancy this up a little bit. It's we have talked recently. I think was it even last week we talked about it, and I garbled the description of Freud's Der Unheimlich, the uncanny, where he specifically brings up doppelgangers as like a big thing for just getting that uncanny fear in you, where you become unsure what's real because of the repetition. It's nice to see that classic in there. I'm just trying to raise the bar of the stream, really. If I drop a little bit of literature once in a while, makes people think we're classy. Yeah, this I was a big fan. By the way, chat, drop your ranking. I want to see. I want to get an estimation, but and just as we've got 8 of them to do, I think let's keep brisk. Where would you rank this in our tier list? And TCG, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'd probably put this. It's a toss up between S and A for me. I feel like I feel like I want to put it in the A tier. If I'm I think I'm going to go with A tier.
Yeah, defensible.
I had written down my rankings of where I thought they went when I was writing my notes on them,
Nice.
and I wrote "Tuck Me In" as an A as well. But I don't think I don't think any of these movies are bad. That's the thing, is I would struggle to put any of them in E or F.
Yeah. Agreed. Like, maybe should I have thrown you a stinker or something?
Like I just have one that was just sucky, and then we, just don't tell us about it, and we're like, oh, this one, what's this one doing here?
This is one of those things where obviously we're kind of grading on a curve here. I am only not giving it this could easily be an S otherwise, and that maybe it should be an S because it has stuck with me for about 7 years. That when we were covering this, I was like, I've got to get this one in. Chat is mostly going A's, 12 burgers, S. We've only got one B here.
I could put it in S just purely because of the fact that it came out of nowhere, and also like I said earlier, I kind of put myself in that position because as a father as well, like, I mean, that's just a horrible thing to experience. Like if you not being able to recognize your own child or be able to tell the difference, that's terrifying. Because imagine you make the wrong move and dude, it's nah. No.
Gosh, I'm going to defer to it. I'm going to go with you guys, and I think A. And I'm partially doing this just because I think there are some things that are that much higher for me.
Yeah.
So
like I think it's comparative, but this is, I mean, it deserves, like, almost like 1 minute short film awards. To be fair, it's an amazing short film.
1 minute clip that can mess with you like this. I don't know, Barry Scott's "Sill It Bang." It's a tough call. It's a very tough call. Yeah, I mean, you might think I'm stinging this because really, would I remember any of these other ones 6 years on? I don't know, man. Actually, yes, because there's another one I saw 7 years ago. We'll get to that in a second, but yeah. And someone finally caught it live. Seth,
hello.
Good to see you, man.
Hello, Seth.
If you are one of those wonderful people he catches on the rewatch, good to see you. And also, anyone else on the rewatch, hi, you guys are amazing. I know the majority of you who watch this don't catch it live. So you are appreciated. You are stars. And I will say to you, as I will say to chat, smash that like, tuck that like button in. There we go. Oh dear, shocking. Yeah, I love this. I'm glad you guys like this. TCG, would you like to choose the one we'll cover next?
Let's go with. I'll tell you what, we'll mix it up. I won't go in chronological order because, like Fox, I watched it in the same order as in the order that you presented it as well.
Oh,
I'm
totally random, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Yeah,
okay,
totally random. I had no scheme there. I should have mixed it up between you.
Well, I'm going to go with The Cat with Hands.
Ooh, good choice.
Lovely. This was recommended by the wonderful Patrick Batman, and I had fun with this. A British one, I believe, a very much an independent producer put this together. I'll just get the time for it. 2009, by the looks of it, by Robert Morgan, and seen nearly 1.2 million times, if you can believe it.
Wow.
Oh, sorry. Patrick Batman did not recommend it. That might be the NREAB who recommended it then. Apologise, but either way, both of you gave gave nice suggestions. TCG, would you like to give people the quick summary of this 2 minutes and 39-second film?
Yeah, two people in the woods. It looks like they're by a well, I think, or something. And one guy's telling another man a story about a cat with hands. Names in the title. But this cat would basically like kill victims or take parts of victims, and then incorporate into itself. Like, so, it has human hands. It then, takes someone's face and it puts it onto itself. And eventually, as time goes on, it fully presents itself as a human. And then towards the end of the story, he's like, the only thing that he doesn't have is, and then as he's about to say tongue, the person he's telling the story to launches into him, like gives him the old good old Frenchie, and rips out his tongue. And then has the guy's voice. So yeah, it's a very, very quick one.
Does not say it's welcome.
with a little plot twist at the end. Yeah, very creepy. Very creepy.
Yeah. Definitely completely different tone to the first one. Wildly different.
Yeah.
Give us more of your thoughts on it, TCG. I'm just adjusting our score line because I realised I did feel a bit guilty. The burgers were throwing in. I thought, how can I rate without the burgers?
Yeah, so for me, I kind of predicted what was going to happen towards the end. I figured that the guy who was being told the story was the so-called cat with hands. The little visual the little visual effects though with the tongue being ripped out was quite cool. I quite like that. I don't think the acting was too bad either. It was quite solid. I don't think it was as good as Tuck Me In, but I think for what it was telling, I felt like it was all right. It was cool.
Yeah, I think we'd say that like the tone is deliberately artificial. It's obviously it's like you're having a story delivered to you.
Very folk legendy, yeah.
Precisely. You're automatically a bit different. I mean, the way it's told, the gravelly voice. Oh gosh, that guy's voice was amazing. Just this is where it happened.
This is where it happened.
You are watching a tale, so you are sort of emotionally distanced a little bit from it, which can stop it affecting you as much, but it also set the tone very well. I am with you.
Oh yeah,
I saw the thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no. Patrick just asked if the entire short was stop motion. I don't think it all was, but I did notice they were using stop motion for the effects, like with the cat, which I thought was pretty cool. I love stop motion.
Oh yes, it was a very good choice as well, wasn't it? Because purely because the thing where the cat gets a face would have looked absolutely stupid if you'd tried to do a real cat.
Yeah.
So just really smart decision. Know what you're working with, and you can accept it because you can accept the slightly, the obviously unreal presentation of stop motion because a guy is telling you a story.
Absolutely. And I think there's definitely something to be said. I'm very glad that this was in here because for me, stop motion is always a little bit uncanny valley. And there is, I think that a good stop motion, horror is, I really like the way of telling the story. And it works really well, I think, not only from a horror like kind of perspective, because it is a little bit creepy, maybe not as much as the Tuck Me In short film, but just like as a short film generally, being able to work with what you have like they did with the stop motion, I think was pretty solid. So I think this one was definitely a solid one.
I mean, this definitely would have taken longer to produce anyway, regardless, because just because of the stop motion alone.
Oh yeah.
So you know, to put all that effort into something that barely hits 2 minutes or however long it was, you know, great little effort there.
I was wondering as well, I don't know if this was the quality that I watched it on, but it almost looked like the film was like maybe the cameras they used or something were from a lot longer ago than 2009. It did kind of look like it was shot in like, I don't know, the 70s or 80s or 90s or something. It didn't look like a 2009 piece, but again, that might just be the quality I saw on YouTube.
It is low
sure.
res.
Yeah,
the best. I've got 480p on the guy's channel. So,
what else did I also wrote? British again with bad teeth. I was wondering if the guy, the guy that's telling the story, I was like, are those his real teeth, or are they filling some
teeth?
stereotype in here?
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is archetypes. It's a folk tale. We've got to lean on those archetypical elements, including the British teeth, you know, straight from the big book of British teeth.
I was just thinking that.
Why must you turn my office into a house of lies?
I am just wondering how they got that guy to go along with him to the well. Like, because there must not have been any conversation going on there, so I don't know how he got into that situation in the first place. But, you know, that's maybe my only perhaps a logic flaw.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of why is he here? If he's not said a word to you because he has no tongue, I suppose this is the kind of thing that I short hopes you don't think about because it's in and out in 2 minutes.
Yeah. I do have a theory as to that.
Oh, rock on.
I'm thinking maybe the cat with hands got the actual real person before, without the old guy realizing.
I'm not following. Am I being really daft?
I can't follow either way.
I'm having a brain fart.
What do you mean?
So like maybe they had a chat and whatnot, and as they're going into the woods, I don't know. Maybe he fell behind a little bit. Oh no, he gets caught by the cat and then catches up with the guy later. He tells a story. Yeah,
potentially.
That could work. Yeah. Yeah, I could go with that maybe. There's something about this. I mean, you said you got it, Fox. I'm assuming you predicted it straight away.
Yeah, I wrote that in the notes. Predictable.
Yeah. Can we even be mad though when we find out we're correct like 60 seconds later?
I'm not too mad at it. Like, I think this is, again, I think I said it's solid. It was predictable once you kind of knew where it was going. Once he took the face, you were like, okay, yeah, this is we know where this is going. But I said it was a simple story told effectively.
Yeah.
I mean, it loses points for predictability, but it makes up for it with its effects. And again, stop motion is a great. I love it. It reminds me of like the old Jason and the Argonauts films. When they took real advantage of that technology.
Yeah, and we watched a couple recently with really good stop motion from the same guy, and his name is David W. Allen, and those films are, chat, you'll remember this, Dolls last week, and Tales from the Hood. Tales from the Hood was one that we put on thinking it would be kind of a straight comedy horror, and it turned out really, really good. It was funny as well, but also like genuinely good. Bit of a tip there. Looks stupidly good for a film from 1995. Deserves a heck of a lot more attention, that one. Great stop motion in it. How would we rank this one? Fox, do you want to go in and chat? Get your rankings in. I'll be interested.
So personally, I'd probably put this at a B. Did I write down B? I think I wrote down B when I wrote down B tier. I don't think it's quite at the level of Tuck Me In. I think it's probably. I still think it's good though. That's the thing, is I don't think I can put it C because I think C is like average. I think C was the lowest rating I gave anything when I was rating it. So personally, for me, I'd say B.
Hmm.
Don't think it's quite as scary or sinister as some of the other ones we have,
Hmm.
but I really do respect it from, I guess, like for a short film. I think it, the stop motion is very solid. I do quite like that it's kind of over the top and folktale-y and stuff. I just personally really enjoy that kind of stuff. And I'd say it's quite a, an original concept. At least I haven't seen too much like it before. And there's a few of these that are a little bit, do have some things that are maybe a little bit cliched. So I thought this was quite unique. So yeah, for me personally, B.
Nice. Okay, TCG, how about yourself? Chat is quite split on this one.
Yeah, I was sort of tossing and turning between B and C, but I think ultimately I think it's the effect that they use that saves it for me in that regard. So yeah, I'd probably say B.
Big uncanny valley.
Big
Interesting
uncanny valley
monster
vibes.
energy, just this thing of the creature that steals from you. The visuals are so great. It's just so weird seeing the cat with hands grabbing something. You're kept wondering, yeah. And again, doesn't outstay its welcome at all. I think B is quite fair. Doesn't deliver the scares, but is an interesting idea, interesting visuals. Keeps it nice and brief. I think B is very fair on that. And I might just make that the tiniest bit bigger. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that at all. I see
Nice.
Yeah, chat is quite split, but that's all right. We have an S tier for that from Patrick Batman. Quite a few Bs, one C. All right. I'm going to try and rig this one. And throw in Portal, No Escape.
Interesting.
What's that, Fox? This
I was
isn't
just saying
horror?
interesting.
You're cheating? You've crammed this in? Fox, oh, come on, man. I've known you this long and you're going to accuse me of shoehorning in something from ages ago just so we can talk about it on stream. Would I do that?
Yes.
Well, I did write down that this doesn't seem horror in my notes, but also this is the one I was speaking about earlier that I wrote a script at university that was kind of similar to this.
This is the one.
This was the
okay.
one.
I was wondering.
Like similar-ish in, I guess, the skeleton of the script to what I wrote.
Nice. I mean, I'm tempted to ask more if you fancy.
Yeah, I'm more than happy. Yeah. So
I'm just intrigued. Go for it.
My script, I think it was called Apples and Oranges, and it was basically someone wakes up on a sitcom set, and they have some sort of amnesia, and essentially throughout the script, it was like I think 15 or so pages. They figure out that they are living some sort of a sitcom, kind of like almost like WandaVision-ish. I think it came out around the same time as WandaVision. Or I say came out, like I think I wrote it around the same time as WandaVision. So it's kind of this sinister sitcom, and they eventually the main character realizes he's in this sitcom, so he tries to break out, and then the ending twist is once he's broken out, he realizes, or sorry, he doesn't realize. Once he breaks out, we see the person who's put him in there is still in full control, and whatever this was part of the plan. So he was within a sitcom. Now he's broken out. It was almost a bit Truman Show-ish as well. If instead of when Truman walks out of the set, he's now in another set which has surrounded it. He thinks he's free. He thinks he's safe. But actually, this is just one more step of the plan. Kind of similar to how this one, she wakes up in this cell. She finds the portal gun, which has, I assume, very clearly been left for her to try and break out, and then realize that she is stuck inside a cell.
Yeah, it's that's a cool idea. It's an idea with a lot of pedigree. Like the artificial reality where you're stuck and someone's in charge my mind goes instantly to Twilight Zone and It's a Good Life, where basically everyone is trapped trying to live this perfect Walton's-like TV existence because there's a 6-year-old who has omnipotent powers and wants it like that. Or was it Fallout 3? There was a segment where you were stuck in a similar environment. You guys must know Fallout better than me.
I played
and that's
Fallout
not
4,
hard.
but not Fallout 3.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be a very controversial figure here. I've never played Fallout.
Oh
No, hey, fair enough. Look, I'm not in touch with the modern thing. It's fine, but yeah, I like that. It's always an interesting pedigree. Like, how can I say, in the political realm, actually, that idea comes up as well. Actually, we can avoid contentious political. We don't need to do the 2-story state or the uniparty or containment. We can bail out actually and talk about Elvis. I don't know if you've heard this story, Fox, but Elvis's manager was a canny guy. He sold both the I Love Elvis merch and he sold anti-Elvis merch as well.
Oh wow, that's to be honest, I think I've heard some things as well about people that sell to political crowds different I guess, I don't know, t-shirts and signs and I don't know, bits and bobs for opposing political views. Yes. I have heard about that in the past.
Are you angry about Thing? Yeah, shut Thing down. Join the anti-Thing party. And you're still very much like, without going to deep theory, you're sort of you're just sort of nicely sort of siphoned off. Gosh, I'm trying to think which book is best to reference it. Let's maybe not get drawn off into those waters. It's a powerful idea, though. I could keep going on, but let's talk about the actual thing. I should do a summary of this, since everyone hates doing the summaries because you suddenly realize you don't know how to speak. Right, here we go. Very simple. Woman wakes up in a cell, no idea what's going on, finds a barcode has been written on the back of her neck, and she finds that by smashing a mirror, showing she is not afraid to sort of take charge of the situation and be innovative. She sees a code on the wall, and because I've been quite busy and some would say lazy, I didn't take a screenshot of the code and try and work out how she used that to understand there was a hidden panel in her room. All she has is time to sort of work out and try and work out how to both work out how to escape. Food is delivered through a small hatch. As she works out from the code of things on the bar that there is a hidden panel in the wall, through that she finds a portal gun, just like in the game, and uses that to escape when the food is, I think, once she's found it, they just come into her cell, which I thought was maybe a tad weak. Like, you know that the food slot opens, she should have fired it through the slot, I think. Whereas if they kind of just opened the door, I thought that was a tiny bit cheating. But yes, she then breaks out. She uses the portal to do cool tricks like we're used to once she's worked out what it's done. And ultimately escapes a facility with some really good looking effects. And manages to make an escape, a wonderful Matrix style gravity-defying leap between the buildings using portal physics, lands on an opposing building, and then realizes she is still inside a set. She's still contained in another environment, and you might say her challenge has only just begun. You go through the walls and see the companion cubes as a nice little bit of fan baiting. And that is Portal No Escape, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who's been very unlucky. Very, very unlucky. The poor sod. He was set to do a whole bunch of projects in the sci-fi realm that got cancelled or he was taken off them. which really sucks because you can tell from this he's an extremely talented guy. So he was going to do a film adaptation of Y the Last Man, and it was yoinked. This film did not lead into him getting the movie version of Portal, which really sucks. And he was also going to do the Uncharted movie, but he got yoinked from that as well. Dude is so unlucky. But, he's talented. He got a couple of things off the ground. So he did 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I really enjoy. He did Prey, which I think was controversial, but people mostly said actually was a lot better than they expected. And he got in a very well-received episode of Black Mirror, one of the more obviously scary episodes by the name of Playtest that was in, brain check, season 3, I believe, when it first moved to Netflix. And that one is also very based around video games. So he clearly had a kind of niche that was successful for him. That's enough me nattering about Dan Trachtenberg, who I really hope gets more work because he deserves it. What did you think of Portal No Escape? Fox, if you'd like to lean in first.
Okay, so what did I wrote down in my notes, lightest in terms of horror, is this even a horror movie? Which I guess we can discuss in a moment. Cool effects, great twist ending, reminds me of my scripts. It seems as though she was being taunted from the very start. No dialogue, which I appreciate. And then I wrote a few other summarizing things. I thought that, because there is no dialogue here really, is there?
None.
It's essentially a obviously there's sound and stuff, but I do really appreciate, because there are a few movies here that do not have any dialogue whatsoever, and I do appreciate when that happens, because it means that everything is just focused on the action, like how do the actors present what's happening. It tends to leave things very ambiguous, which I tend to like in short films. We don't need all of the answers all of the time, especially if it makes things interesting or more interesting to withhold information. And especially in this, the twist ending, similar to my own screenplay, I think works really well, where it's very inviting for an audience. I want to see what happens next. If this was a movie, I'd be interested to see, does she eventually escape? If she gets caught again, what will whoever was there put her through as punishment? Who put her there and why? There are so many great questions that this short film asks. I'm invested in the characters. So from a short film perspective, it's very good. From a horror short film perspective, it's not that sinister enough. It's, again, it's definitely the lightest out of all of it. And I guess we should probably discuss why this is here, because I'm interested to see why this is apples and oranges, really. Just like my script, this is apples and oranges.
It's a subtle horror.
Yeah.
Kinda.
It's got sinister themes.
Sinister, yeah. It's a lot like... Fox, have you ever seen a film called Cube?
No, I don't think so.
I think you would really like it. I think there's a real good reason that you wrote your script with... It sounds like you find out it's still like wider control.
Yes.
Like you don't escape control, just like they don't here. And in the Cube series, it's a very similar scenario. People wake up inside... a series of cubes that are interlinked in a labyrinth, and some of the cubes have traps in. I will say no more because I think you'd really like it. It's from 1997, Canadian production. It was successful enough that they made a sequel, Cube 2 Hypercube. And Cube 2 Hypercube made the mistake of 1, CGI, and 2, kind of telling you too much. It gave you the answer to the things you were desperate to find out. And ultimately, no answer is good. No answer is going to live up to what you were hoping for.
Yeah.
And if you're going to give answers, give it very, very last minute, because it's the search that is the most interesting part. I
completely agree.
Oh, gosh. I thought of another thing and it's gone out of my brain. The prequel Cube Zero did the same thing, just gave way too much information and took out the horrors. This just leaves you hungry. 6 minutes, was 6 minutes 39 seconds of this, I think. 6 minutes 57, including credits. And yeah, it's just such an appealing structure. You see the challenge. She just overcomes little challenges. You see a puzzle that you know you then have to solve. And I just found my brain was really engaged throughout this. I knew what she had to achieve at each point, and I was wondering how she'd do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And to do it all without dialogue as well, it's such an inviting movie where you can just see it and you know that her goals, you know the tension, you know the conflict and stuff. It's it is one of those movies where you do those short films that nothing needs to be said because audiences will just know it. So yeah.
Oh, great stuff. Do you think this would... So actually, before I move off that, TCG, how about yourself? What do you think about this one?
So yeah, I think you guys make a lot of good points, and I like the comparisons to Cube, which, by the way, Fox, you definitely need to watch. It's a brilliant film. As well as things like The Truman Show. I think if it was... I think if we got to see more of it, I could sort of understand kind of like the horror aspect of it, especially like when you compare it to Cube, for example. But and it also does leave you sort of asking questions and wanting to know more about the story that you don't see because obviously it's so constrained in its length. But for me, this wasn't a horror film. This wasn't a horror short. So
I'm shocked at the accusation.
I walked away from this one thinking, yeah, it's like a cool little production, but why am I watching it? This,
Fair.
So, I was also wondering. I mean, like, is there any reason why we were watching this? It was the last one, so it was a nice wind down. But
I was like, there must be a reason for it. There must be a reason for it that I'm not seeing. But yeah, I do like the fact. I mean, I was wondering about the scratches on the walls that she was just staring at as she was doing push-ups. I was just thinking like, what does that mean? Who put that there? Did she put it there? And maybe has she been like has she had a memory wiped? And this is like a final message to her before the memory wipe took place. It turns out it's a code for where the portal gun is, which made me think, okay, well, if there's a portal gun in there, how did security not know about it? Is this just a test? Is this just to wind her up? Why she got a barcode on her back? Because has Agent 47 transitioned? I'm like, there's so many questions that I do think that if you put it into a longer form story, it would be quite interesting to see what happened. But yeah, I think lots of questions, namely the main one being proper horror show. Why did you put it on this list?
Look, it's been a long time since we've done a rogue stream and just cover something because we really want to. But you know what, TCG? Because we want to. Why you got to show that sci-fi short? Because we want to. Oh no. I think Bilbo's got the comment of the night. Oh, bless. You've both kind of led to something that I thought I'd ask on this before we score it. Aside from also noticing, actually, Fox, I had underrated how important it is that she doesn't say anything. I've been reading on Kubrick a lot recently for one of the audio commentaries I need to do, and something about him is he hated dialogue and tried to keep as much out of his films as possible. And once you start looking at his films through that angle, you're like, oh yeah, bleeping heck. Like the famous scene of Jack going into room 237 and meeting the initially sexy woman is silent, and I've never really thought of it like that. Yeah, the fact that they keep this wordless makes every action stand out so much more, just because you haven't got dialogue distracting you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's she ultimately, what's she gonna do? Like, scream, "Why am I here? Why am I here?" It's like, we're already wondering that, love.
Yeah.
There's kind of
definitely.
nothing she could say that could add to the situation, so they just didn't. Yeah, I love it. So I was going to ask, do you think this could work a longer form? Maybe episodes or maybe a movie? Or do you think it's kind of destined to be its best in this short format where it's kind of a teaser?
Well, I think if you've got the right people behind it, you could certainly make it into a longer film. It all depends on who's going to work on it and how far they would, if they would use, let's say this being the original source material, how much they would take from that basic concept and implement it into a longer film. You know, would you start from this moment and stretch it out? Would you start from the beginning prior to where she's got, prior to where she wakes up, which would explain a lot as to how she's got the barcode on her neck, why there's scribblings all over the walls. Do you know what I mean? It could work, but as I say, it depends on who was working on it. I wouldn't trust Russell T Davies with this.
No. I want to trust Dan Trachtenberg with it. Sorry, Fox, go ahead. I talked over you there. Sorry.
I think basically, I quite like a Prison Break, and this does seem like a Prison Break, with a lot more intrigue as well. So I think it could work potentially, but also on the same token, a TV show is going to be episodes. A full length film is going to be at least 90 minutes. Especially when you're withholding lots of information for 90 minutes, you need to be very smart in what you give the audience, because people don't like to be, I guess, left in the dark with no answers whatsoever for 90 minutes. They want to have at least breadcrumbs to kind of lead them along the way to slowly but surely figure out what this world is. And I guess I would assume that you would maybe start at this point where she wakes up, the audience doesn't know where she is, she doesn't know where she is, and both the audience and her are learning about this world for the first time simultaneously. So everything that she learns, they also learn alongside. That said, if we're looking, her Prison Break thing, and then she finds out that she's within a cell, she gets caught there, she gets brought back, I think it could work, but just like TCG said, it depends on who's behind it and how they progress the story from there. It's a potential.
Yeah, people would probably say, like, just do the storyline from Portal, but I'd kind of think you have to adapt it for the format. Video game into movie adaptations, it's tricky. It's tricky.
Yeah.
Only recently they've been getting good. Or at least more commercially successful.
It's just a tough format, to be honest. I was almost wondering, maybe it wouldn't even work as a TV series, but what if it was like a series of, kind of like YouTube episodes, 15-minute episodes, like maybe 15-minute episodes, which is basically going through a level, meeting a new challenge, trying to get out of it. So it doesn't outstay its welcome. You can run a few of them, and it is kind of a cheat. But the fact that it would be contained within an episode and done means it wouldn't actually feel that repetitive, because effectively your brain has broken off the episode, and then the next one's a new product, basically. Is that making sense, or is that?
Yeah, no, it definitely. I think I think something like was it Soma? They did. There was like a YouTube series. I think it was called Transmissions. That's it. That was like I think it was like an 8-part. I'm just looking it up now. Yeah, like an 8-part YouTube series, which is heavily based off of Soma, which is bloody brilliant. Something like that, pasted onto something like if they stretch this Portal story on and sort of like formatted it like that, then yeah, that could easily be a smash hit. But again, it depends on who's making it.
I'd love to see it. I mean, I mentioned my slight cop out. It has been so busy that I have not been able to check it out. But I would love to know if people have tried to make a Portal film, if they've looked into this, because it was so darn popular. And if you could do it right, I know it's a tough story to tell, but something like this tells me so much. There's so much potential here. And
it could.
I mean, it's paying off because I want to see more. I so wanted to see more, and I'm sure they could nail it.
100%. 100%.
Well, I could go on this about a fair bit longer, but Dan Trachtenberg, such an unlucky guy. But he had this moment of absolute triumph. This, by the way, was made for a couple of thousand. Just a couple of £1,000. I know, it's amazing. Well, let's get into the ratings. I saw people dropped them a bit early, so I'm just going to look back to them. I think there were Bs, interestingly. Yeah. Oh, 3 Bs. Crikey. Where do you guys land on this one?
TCG, do you want to go first?
Yeah, go on then, because I'm going to come out with the unpopular opinion.
Rating it as a horror short.
Rating it as a horror. Like I say, I don't want to take away from the fact that it is a good story. It has potential and all of that jazz. Like all of the points that you guys have made are excellent points, and it's a strong story, and it has potential to be a bit of a longer series. E as a horror.
Oh, that hurts. Oh, right in the gherkins.
It's just not a horror. I could put it as an F, but I was the very end of it when she's locked in, and it's that you've got that, that sort of fake sort of background, that was kind of like a ooh moment, harsh, but yeah, E.
It was a cool effect. Mr. Trachtenberg. If I just said, I think I just butchered his name, Mr.
If that is your real name.
If that is your
if you're watching this, Mr. Trachtenberg, I'm sorry. For me, it's a D. If it was just based on how good it is as a short film, we could be talking, B's and A's. But as a horror short film, not really that. I mean, it's not scary, is it? It's kind of it's mysterious, but it's not scary.
Yeah, I think Horrorshow done you dirty there, David.
But I'm going to be a little bit nicer. I'll give it a D. But I can understand an E.
I executive override to the will of the chat. I'm happy with a D as a horror, but yeah, I am doing him very dirty there. He should not be rated really among this, but how often do I get a chance to talk about this one? So, we got a good suggestion here. Put it on the line. Go on. It can straddle the DE line.
Oh,
there we go. All right, lovely. Choice for the next one, and crikey, I realise I talked about that a bit too long. Whoops. Fox, over to you. Would you like to choose the next?
I guess I'm happy to keep things for shorts next, so I'm happy to go Lights Out.
Here we go.
Next, just keep things short and brief.
Yeah.
Oof.
I love it. Back-to-back comments. Straddle the D.
Oh, gosh darn it. Chat. Well, yes, this is from 2013 by David F. Sandberg, directorial debut, and it was popular enough to become a movie in 2016. Taken up inevitably. Wait, hang on. Was it Blumhouse? I'm going to check this. This has to be Blumhouse.
It's got to be.
How is it not Blumhouse? Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh no. All right. Apologies. It was not Blumhouse. Actually, no, that's not a dirty word here. Blumhouse put out Smile recently. Blumhouse is no longer a dirty word, okay? TCG, would you like to talk us through Lights Out?
Yeah, this is great. This was great. Yeah, again, long story short, no pun intended. Woman's getting ready to go to bed for the evening, I think, and she turns off her light, and there's someone standing in the background, and she's a bit like, oh, hello. Turns the light back on again. It's gone. Turns it off. The back. Turns it off. Gone. Oh, sorry, it's there. Turns it on. It's gone. Turns it off. It's a bit closer. Oh gosh, right, okay. I'm gonna go to bed now. And then leaves the light on. Gets into bed, and then the lights start flickering. It all goes a bit Pete Tong. I don't really want to spoil. I know we say spoilers, but I don't really want to spoil it too much. But yeah, in a nutshell, the light in the hallway gets switched off, and she can hear like steps and scratching and all that stuff. And the only light that's shining is her lamp, which is beside her bed, and then that starts to flicker. And then you have this really tense moment when she reaches out to just push the plug back into the socket, and then. That was brilliant. I love that. And then the light switches off, starts switching on, starts switching off, and then she looks over, and there's this freakishly weird person just switching the light on and off with this really like massive grin, and like the whitest of eyes, deep white eyes, and then yeah, she freaks out, and then it ends.
Perfect summation.
Loved it.
Yeah. There's a classic question in there. Chat, I love you. Who else would ask this? John, yeah, Lights Out was an old radio series. Stephen King writes about it in Dan's Macabre from 1982. Now, he says it's an old one even then, but he praises it quite extensively. And I've been quite tempted to cover it. Although I don't... We've only ever covered one purely audio thing before, which was the Lovecraft Mysteries adaptation of The Case of Charles Dexter Ward, but good inside knowledge.
That's a great radio series, that was.
Oh, yeah. They have a 4th season, by the way, now.
Do they? Ooh.
It's all right. It's all right. Good fun, and they're going to make a 5th.
Nice.
So, yeah, you got it so well in the narration. What I loved about this so much is kind of like Portal No Escape. It established a scenario, and it established the rules and the threat. And once we understood that, it just played it with us. And it was like we're engaged because we knew what the stakes were, and we were just trying to figure out the rules as it went. We knew what was at risk at every point. There was something it made me think of, and it's now gone immediately out of my brain. Gosh darn it. I hope it comes back. I got distracted by the Lights Out radio short talk. Oh, that's it. Doctor Who Blink. You know, that scenario with the weeping angels. You know, they can get you when they move when you're not looking at them. And it establishes that rule. And once that's in, once you know that, all the horror stems from that. And they have so much fun with that premise. This made me think of that.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. How did you find this one, Fox?
You guys probably aren't gonna be too happy with this. I thought it was good, but compared to some of the other ones, I didn't think it was quite as strong. And for me, it's the protagonist. The entire "I'm gonna go to bed" thing. To me, I just don't buy it. I just do not buy that she would go there and she'd go to bed after seeing that. There is something I really do enjoy, which was that once she's in bed, she hides under the covers. And although, again, like from a logic standpoint, this is even dumber because now she's in an enclosed space and she's not even looking out to see what could get her. Whether or not you're hiding under your covers, the monster is still going to be there. It's not going to attack you because 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 it doesn't know that you're under. It knows it, but despite the obvious flawed logic there, what that does do is make good use of what we can see and what we can't. And I think for a horror short especially, that concept of what are we seeing right now and what are we not is so important, because at least when we see the monster on screen, we know where it is. When we can't see the monster on screen, that it is almost like the spider in your house, where you might get a bit freaked out when you see a spider on your wall, but you'll get even more scared when you see it gone.
Do you know what I would have loved, actually, talking about the rules of the story? What I would have loved is when the monster was turning the light on, it disappeared, turned it off, there it is again. Or was it doing? I can't remember if it was doing that now.
I don't think so, but just generally for me, my big problem with the story, and I understand it had to be that way to make it work. I just think the entire thing of flickering the light, seeing that 3 or 4 times, getting jump scared by it, and then kind of going, "Oh yeah, I'll just head off to bed now," is just a bit of a lazy way to do things, I guess, or at least just not. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
It's not harsh at all, if we're honest. This is, I would say, the film. This is a short with the greatest style, probably, but it does fail the Sidney Prescott test from the epic line in Scream. It's always some stupid film about some stupid girl with big tits who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be running out the front doors. It's insulting. So basically, do you do something just so it can be scary, i.e., I'll just go to bed. It'll be reet.
Yeah.
So yeah, fails the Sidney Prescott test. And
yeah,
there's also a kind of irony. Like, once she's in bed, I do totally buy that she would just pull the covers over her head. And there's kind of like a nice, like, it's just the irrational thing. It's the it's the
you made your bed, you might as well lie in it.
Yeah. Make your bed and you might as well die in it. Wait. There's a thing where a nice irony that she's more in danger when she can't see it. But
yeah.
And then she hides herself under the covers so she can't see it more, and then feels safer. There was a tasty little bit of irony, but ultimately we are talking about it's so stylish, but it is effectively a jump scare. And I want to talk about it a bit more, but people have been busy, so I've got to say the Enriab has gone on an absolute rampage. My dude, I'm humbled. £5 coming in saying, "I've come here to chew bubblegum and turn people green, and I'm all about out of bubblegum," while you are spreading those memberships around, my dude. 50
Nice.
Horrorshow memberships, you absolute Chad. My goodness. Oh, fantastic. So I'm just looking at all the names turning green. It's amazing.
You love to see it, don't you?
You love to see it. Folks, if you're seeing it, if you're on the replay, you know who to thank. If you've suddenly found yourself in Green Squad with an access to quite a lot of exclusive content, you know who to thank. The Enriab, you're an absolute star. Thank you so much. And also, since you mentioned it in response to a post, so I will just say, you suggested putting together a playlist for members, and I've done that. The only problem I had is that some of the things are unlisted, but not members only, because I post them to Subscribestar as well. And sometimes I'm lazy and don't upload a separate copy. So what I'll do is post that in I'll post it in a members only post so people can see the list. But there's quite a lot in there now. And I think I might give you one of the next things going up is going to be an advance copy of the audio commentary for Black Christmas, so you can have that ahead of time. Yeah, once again, you absolute star. Thank you very much, Ian Rehab. And Marina has got a fantastic suggestion. Yes, absolutely. Treat that like button like a light switch. You just hammer it down and you tape it down so it can never come unliked. Thank you ever so much, Marina. $2, much appreciated. And suddenly a whole I'm just sorry, it's all fed through into StreamYards now, and now all the names are green. It's quite wonderful to see. Thank you very much. Wow, where was I? Where were we with this? Covering lights out. Oh,
the jump scare, I think, right?
The jump scare. I was going to say something it did really well. There was a bit where the lights were on and it was just the audio of feet running played.
Yeah.
I loved that. I thought that was probably one of the scariest bits.
Can I just share some breaking news?
Oh, go ahead.
Lee Rigby's killer, Michael Adebolajo, has been killed inside HMP Wood Hill.
What?
Reports suggest the convicted drug dealer stabbed him over 50 times.
Goodness me.
Hang on a minute. No, wait a minute. Fake news. No reports of this happening. Damn it.
Fake news. Okay, wow.
Moving on.
That was going to be some big breaking news. Crikey. Goodness. Yeah, I was going to say the section where it's established the rules around the lights and the visibility and then messes with you by having the lights on and you hearing the audio was kind of my favorite bit because you knew the rules and so do I. You knew the rules and then it messed with you anyway. Like there's no reason you should feel safe with the lights on.
Yeah.
Like the thing's still there, but now you can hear it. So that was a great scare for me. But yeah, it's ultimately what we are talking about here, I think, it is a jump scare. It's a very well delivered jump scare, but we are kind of talking about a jump scare here.
It does look amazing, to be fair to it. I think if we give them props to the cats with the hands for their effects, this one, like this monster here, I do think is very impressive. And I also do like, I mean, it's little thing, turn the light off and then cut to credits and stuff. I think that's a nice little way to end the shorts. But yeah, it is a jump scare, and I guess you kind of have to I mean, personally for me, I have to take a few points off for that because I do enjoy the more gradual kind of building of tension rather than jump scare.
Yeah. It's a very fair comment. If we're comparing to the other stuff where you didn't really get a release, this gave you the release, and then you're kind of automatically less satisfied, aren't you? I was going to make a topic section on this, and then I thought we'd probably overrun massively. So I'll just mention it to you. Let me move it into a tab here so you can see it. Right, that should work. I'm going to show you something else, folks. Oh, quite a few years ago, 8 years ago, there was a competition on the BBC for making a short horror film. And the entrants were going to be judged by one of the creators of the Blair Witch Project. I'll just show you it now. So if you're interested, there you go. That is it. The Fear. It's on iPlayer. Oh, it's not available. You sods. Right, guys, pirate this hard and cancel the TV license. Shocking. That's so harsh. Anyway, it was kind of interesting, but the main thing I took from it was just everything was basically a jump scare. And the winner, it was good, but there wasn't as much to it. And if any of the things we were covering were of that level, I think we'd be rating a lot lower. And I should probably have stuck one in just so we could have the comparison. But if you're interested, folks, try and track that series down. It'll give you a good comparison to what we're covering tonight. It just showed that while you can deliver a jump scare well, ultimately it has a limited effect, even if this is very good. And that I guess is another problem with this is this got made into a full movie, and I think, have we all seen it? Am I right? Have we all seen that one?
I think I have, but I remember nothing of it.
I have not seen the full length.
It had the exact same problem that you highlighted immediately. Extremely spooky stuff is going down, down, down. Oh, well, I'll just curl into bed. And it's like, that does not work in a 90-minute movie.
I was going to say, I did see this is the only one I had seen prior, and I'd seen it via a video essay by The Closer Look to compare the short film to the movie adaptation. And they said that they believed the short film was better, despite the fact that it was the same director and actress. They thought the short film version was better, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well, I'd 100% agree. I mean, like TCG, I just can't remember it. But I remember this short so well, even though I saw it 7 years ago. It's the kind of thing like these really show you a story does not need to be 90 minutes. You like some stories really do only need to be tiny. And in covering horror anthologies for, I mean, honestly, TCG, I think we're going to be going on into the summer next year because we have been thorough. We have been thorough. Fox, we haven't got out of the 90s yet. And we've been doing it month on, month off for the whole year. Some people say I'm pedantic. I can't believe it. They kind of show that if a story can be tight in 15 minutes and that's all it needs. And if you try and stretch it out, it just weakens it. This short, absolutely, I think, is stronger than the full film.
Yeah.
Where would we rate it, guys? And chat, get your votes in. We're going to rate this one. I see an S, an early S for Adam Loves Horror on this one. Where would you go, TCG?
For me, I know Fox makes a very good point about the decision the woman makes after initially seeing the thing. But for me, that just tells a story of how people make such crappy decisions in horror movies, in general. So, if I was to criticize that, I'd have to criticize every single horror film for that purpose. So I'm gonna give that a pass, and I'm gonna whack this up in S tier because it is one, like you say, has stuck with me for many years. As soon as I forgot the name, but as soon as I saw the first bit of that, I was like, I remember this. This is scary. And even now, like when I was sitting there watching it, if I had a duvet, it'd be going over my. I'd be covering my eyes with it too. Freaky. It's just freaky stuff. And I'm actually sitting here in the dark, and I'm praying out harsh here, just talking about it. So yeah, S for me.
Interesting.
It hit all the right notes for me. It hit all the right notes.
I'd love to hear this. This is great. Fox, how about yourself? Where are you ranking? I think this might be controversial.
Well, yeah, I think I'll be the mean judge on every panel. There's always got to be one who's gonna bring everything down. For
Fox
me,
is Simon Callow.
Do I think it's better than The Cat with Hands? Maybe. I don't think it's S. I definitely don't think it's better than the Tuck Me In. So for me personally, I've got to go maybe, like, for me, just thinking right now, I'd say CB borderline. That's where my heart lies. I don't think it's that scary. I'm not huge on the jump scare. I'm not huge on the decisions that the character makes. However, I do think that when, if I exclude that, I do think, again, the entire thing of not seeing the monster when she's under the covers and stuff, thinking she's like, I do like that part. It is a good, short horror film. I think B is fair for me. That would be my vote.
I'm torn on this. I've actually given a poll to chat, so chat, make sure you vote in this. Make sure you get a vote in chat, because I am torn on this. I think it's I can only give 4 options, I'm afraid, Dr. Prepper. I've also been reminded that it's actually Simon Cowell that you are taking the role of, and
Yeah.
I'm not in touch with popular culture. Come on. All right. I'll see how this goes. I think there's a strong argument. Big effect, but it does fail the Sidney Prescott rule. So I want to knock stuff off. Does it? And thinking about, I said it's kind of shallow, but on the other hand, it's 3 minutes long. Do you expect something mega deep for 3 minutes, or do we want something that's stylish, knows what it's achieving to do, and aiming to achieve, and doesn't waste your time? Oh, it's a tough one. I'm going to see what the poll is doing. 40% on C.
Boo.
It's harsh.
Simon Cowell's in the chat.
So, all right. Okay, I think I will. That's a bit harsh, chat. All right, it seems. Okay, this is a problem with democracy, chat. Okay, yes, C is leading, but ultimately C is out of step with the majority of people. The majority of people actually rate it much higher. It's just an argument, really, between, say, A, B, and C. So I'm trying to think if there's a standard way you get around that, but I can't think of it. Anyway, I will end the poll. How would you feel about a compromise on a B?
I'm personally fine with a B.
I
refuse. TCG.
I utterly refuse to budge, I'm afraid. But this isn't my stream, so
I'm moving it up
make
for
the
you,
rules.
TCG. It's getting an A for a strong effect, being nice and tight. Democracy thoroughly disrespected. Temporarily. I've got. Oh, who knows the line? It's been far too long since I've seen Palpatine. I need to fix that. Okay. Right. Fox, you went for Lights Out.
Yes.
TCG, would you like to choose yours?
Let's go with The Disappearance of Willie Bingham.
Ooh, good one. Walk us through this one, TCG.
Yeah, so this is a story about a convicted killer who is undergoing medical procedures which have been essentially forced upon him by the government. This one kind of threw me a little bit. I think the victim's family get to say when it stops.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, essentially, I think he's being used as like almost like a mouthpiece for the government to be like, look, don't muck about, don't do what I did, otherwise you'll look like this. And because he does that to a bunch of he's in a class, and yeah, initially they take off his hand, and then do they take his arm next, and then it's his leg.
Yeah, next time is an arm and a leg go.
Arm and a leg, yeah, and then then you hear through the person narrating, who I think is the guy's psychologist. Oh no, it's his not parole officer, but his assigned officer. That they've started donating like kidneys and things like that.
Yeah, the prison sells them to help fund the costs.
That's right, because they say that the prison system's now privatised. Then I think they take his manhood, don't they?
They do. I mean,
yeah.
There is a thing about Australian and New Zealand films, is that the humour is always there.
Yeah, and
there's a very specific style.
And from that point, the man stops talking. I mean, that's pretty much it. Bad guy does bad thing. Pays for it in body parts, and is the poster boy for not doing bad things. Otherwise, these things will happen to you.
another case of you're given a strong premise and you're then left wondering, okay, where does this go? How far does this go? Once you've established that the family can keep the amputations going, you are just wondering, like, crikey, how is this going to stop? I really liked the thing where the family slowly shrunk.
Yeah.
And they backed away, and I thought it was very true that the dad stuck it out, but also each time you saw him, the dad looked worst.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up actually. I think in the description they mention it's the ultimate eye for an eye, where the dad is obviously he is physically deteriorating as well as the criminal, which I thought was a lovely touch.
Yeah, it's the old school thing of, you know, it has an impact on you. Like any time you see one of these revenges tragedies, it's all about the revenge takes an impact on you. It's Nietzsche's you stare into the abyss, be aware that it stares back into you as well. Let's see. Now, we might have to check this. Did you guys get what he was being punished for? Because I had got it. This was one of the last
on the radio, right?
Was it? So Patrick Batman has got that it's being a drunk driver but denies mutilating her. I had remembered it was how can I say, a crime that was a bit less YouTube friendly.
Correct.
If you get me. Do you remember that? Am I off?
Yeah. No.
That's what they said on the radio. It was
correct.
That and murder, I think.
That as well, yeah. Which kind of had the... I mean, it's an interesting one because it means that my sympathy for the chap is very, very low. And, well, that's, yeah. How did you feel as it went on, Fox? It's quite a tough watch, I thought.
Yeah, I think it is. And these sorts of movies I really do enjoy because obviously this man has done some horrendous things. He then at the very start, he's like, oh, it wasn't me. It was the alcohol and the drugs and stuff. So he's still kind of in denial about it. But then obviously you have to ask, when is enough enough? And at what point, you know, where do you draw the line? And these, you know, they're some of the most debated questions of like how, especially for these people that, you know, a lot of people say bring back the death penalty. A lot of people say actually don't, let's make it even worse. This could be a reality if people are like, oh, let's forget about the death penalty. Let's make it, you know, let's make these worst offenders donate their body to science. I mean, it does get more and more uncomfortable along the way. For me, watching it, I could never. You know, it's very tough to feel sympathy for someone like that, but then also to see the inhumanity from the government as well. Does anyone deserve to be treated like that? You know, asking these sorts of questions and stuff, I do enjoy in whilst I'm watching film, making me question my, you know, views and my philosophies. So that's something I do take from this film, is I have to give it a few extra points for making me think about the world and the justice system and crime and revenge, more than some of the others, which are pure straight scares. This one does make you think a little bit more about the world around you.
Yeah, definitely. There are a few bits where I felt it was really tipping its hand with one agenda. A couple of comments really stuck out to me, but then there were others that actually were quite nuanced in another direction, and I really appreciated that it wasn't, maybe it's awkward to say heavy-handed given this, but I appreciated that. I know I say every story comes with a viewpoint. You can't tell a story without having a set of values in there, but I like it when they are you know, buried, they are balanced, they are muddled, and not just sort of shouted at you.
Yeah.
And I think this did that really, really well. I can dive into that a bit later, but I just thought maybe let's talk a bit more about it in general.
Can I just say?
Rock on.
I'll keep it short. I don't know if I'm an actual psychopath or not, but
this is a good start.
I didn't care.
Mm.
When you learn about what he did, I'm like, I don't care. I don't, for me, there's a question to be had as to the government's influence over that sort of thing, but putting it into the family, putting it into the family's hands in terms of like how far it should go, was definitely an interesting sort of concept, because I know that there are, I know with things like capital punishment, that sort of stuff, there are sort of debates as to whether the government should have that say, and obviously, whichever side of the fence you sit on is perfectly fine and reasonable. But it was interesting that they essentially said, okay, yeah, the government will oversee the punishment, but it is the individual who has the say as to how far it goes. I found that to be quite interesting. Like your Portal piece, Horrorshow, I didn't see this so much as a horror, but more of a sort of philosophical short. It was asking a question and trying to get an answer out of the viewer, making them think. And I think that's what this was, for the most part, was more of a think piece.
Yeah, I mean, I would maybe say that the horror, like some of the obvious elements are, in things like seeing how much, or rather how less of him there is, and that's a kind of more surface level, like some of the gruesome bits you see. But I think there's like a really deep, almost like hollowing out feeling when you see like all this is happening to him, and like no one benefits from it. Like he goes into the school, and I absolutely loved it. The kids just like mocking him, just holding up the sign saying,
"Yeah."
That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
It felt true though, right?
Although definitely. I mean, what you got to remember, because I think I can't remember if it was yourself or Fox who said it, but the guy that the father progressively gets worse as the punishments continue, but yet he still presses ahead with it. It's interesting that they sort of frame him as almost like suffering still. It could easily be, again, this comes down to the filmmaker's decisions and whoever writes it, but someone else could quite easily go, okay, I'm going to write my family to be the ones actually not only just pressing ahead with it, but actually getting satisfaction from it, and actually feeling like justice is being served. There is another way to look at it,
Yeah, I mean,
presumably he's not the only person having it done to him, and other people might be, enjoying it.
No, you're very right that there is a certain thumb on the scales aspect of it. You can always set it. Oh gosh darn it! So someone's got there too. Damn you, Adam Loves Horror. I was going to mention that. Yes, absolutely. Similar to White Bear in Black Mirror. So this is Adam Loves Horror's comment. Thank you for the $5 there. Similar to White Bear and Black Mirror. I could discuss this for hours. I'll show this to others. Foucault vibes with crime and punishment. Absolutely. Absolutely. We could go deep on that one. This is one of those things, I think the worry is we could talk for absolutely hours on this. If people not familiar with White Bear, I won't spoil a bit. One of the ideas it gets is that at a certain point, a rage, a desire to punish the guilty for atrocious crimes becomes divorced from the act and becomes almost a ritual act of a sort of 2 minutes hate, far more about a personal, your own inner darkness being vented, your desire to vent hate rather than any sense of justice. It's an extremely disturbing, complex episode that we will be covering later. when we eventually get around into the early 2000s with that. But there's an aspect that TCG brought up that's really deep as well in this, which is the whose justice is it? You know, absolutely. The family could be sated, and I would make a very strong case that there is a deep problem when a system, a bureaucratic system, administers justice when they decide what the harm level is. One of the easiest ways to just point out that how much stuff was until very recently legal, or maybe a strong example in Britain is our animal cruelty laws. There was a long campaigning thing to try and increase them, as the sentences were extremely light, hugely out of step with public opinion. Even though they were rather harsh compared to the rest of the world, the British public, we are animal lovers, and we wanted animal cruelty to be extremely harshly punished. And it was a very successful campaign, I want to say, by RSPCA, that I may have had a hand in, for some deep lore behind the scenes, to get the law changed to allow harsher sentences. What I'm trying to say, and I got a bit distracted on that, is when the legal system gives a punishment, usually just by imprisonment, they are taking in so many other factors. Like that, basic, for one, what is their chance of getting a conviction separate from, is the person guilty? They're also having to consider what is their capacity to administer the punishment. So prison sentences will be incredibly light if the prisons happen to be full. So the individual act gets judged basically on a relative scale and divorced from its actual context. That's a massive problem. Foucault would cover that as well. He would also cover in most of his books how crime is created. I think the biggest problem is just that a system is not so concerned with the feeling of satisfaction. It's concerned with a very dispassionate metric. And I think crime and justice are passionate matters. You've been wronged and you want to feel that things are balanced. I've talked for absolutely ages. Did that make sense?
I followed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically what I'm saying is a system can just tell you, all right, yeah, this person was callous and, chucked your dog off a bridge and it died for a prank, for a YouTube prank. We tend to give a £400 fine for that and won't administer it. And it's like, that's the thing, though. And it's like, they can do it because the system isn't affected, but it's your dog. So you care about it a lot more. Anyway, it's an extremely deep well. Adam Latara, thank you again, being very generous tonight. Hostel vibes too. Yeah, definitely. Eli Roth's Hostel. It's got a bit of that vibe, the end scene with the guy who paid. Yeah. Yeah, I see that. I stand up for Hostel as a very deep film. I get pushback for it, but I think it's saying a lot. I really liked the sly comment of the fact that they had a guy appointed to make sure everything was humane. That's some very dark humor in this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know, man. This stuck with me. This is the exact opposite of Lights Out, I think. It's a slow burn.
I completely agree, yeah. I think the shot of him at the end with like no lips and like no nose and he's all bandaged up and he's like got no arms and legs and stuff, that's a shot that is kind of ingrained in my mind.
Yeah.
Because that is, I mean, that would be the justice that a lot of people envision when something horrendous has happened to them. That's exactly what they would want to happen to the perpetrator. So Yeah, it's are we doing ratings or are we?
Oh, we should rate it. Sorry,
Yeah,
I totally went off on one.
Because as I guess TCG was saying that he doesn't exactly find this so much as like a horror short film as like maybe a philosophical one. Which now that he says that, I do kind of agree. But I go, at least for a horror, if we're talking horror short film, I go maybe a B, because I was very uncomfortable the entire time, in a strange way, where I go like, yeah, okay, this is perhaps deserved, but to see it as well is another thing. In theory, perhaps revenge fantasies are very nice, but when you actually see someone with like no arms and no legs and no penis and no lips and no nose and all of that, it is, maybe it's because it's through a film, it is there's a degree of separation there that is kind of haunting to see. For me personally, I go B.
Okay, I think you make a good case there. TCG, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I think again, I have to judge it like a horror, and as I said, I don't really think this was so much of a horror as it was a philosophical sort of argument, if you will. But that being said, I do think there is more of I mean, you do sort of like have the body horror element, with the pieces getting removed, and yeah, like you just actually reminded me, Fox, of that very end bit where the guy's got no like eyelids and like his lips are gone, and actually that does look pretty. That is pretty haunting. It's a great story, and it's not to take away from what the directors or the creators of the short piece were trying to do. But purely from sort of like a horror perspective, I'd probably put it around C.
Ooh.
Like I said, I didn't care what was happening to the guy. I wasn't eked out by the guy. So I was like, bring it on, mate.
I was going to say that's a fair point.
If it turned out that he was innocent, then it'd be like, oh my god, what a twist.
That'd be then scary to think, oh yeah, the government can put you in and do that.
Government overreach and getting it all wrong, blah blah blah. It's just but it didn't go down that route. It was very much this was a guy who did something very bad and is being punished for it. Whether it's just or unjust is for the viewer to decide.
We see I find it quite interesting in death penalty arguments. I like, you often get the what if you get someone innocent. I actually think it's a lot more interesting to not cover that eventuality, because that is almost like an easier get out. Like, this gives you the tough one of like, this guy absolutely did it, but still, what do you do? I mean, I see the S tiers coming in here. By the way, Patrick, don't worry, I hadn't seen anyone getting overly political. We obviously, this channel has a perspective, but we are an analytical channel, and we try not to override it. I don't think anyone stepped over any lines here. It's all good. I think some of the weakness came through in some of the clunkier lines about underfunded schools, privatized prisons, but it was balanced out with some nice subtleties. Maybe the only problem is, I guess, an implication that if it's trying to say the conservative approach is this kind of absolute vaudeville cruelty, I think that's misunderstanding the position, because I think the conservative perspective would be he's guilty. I'm trying to think of a euphemism. He gets unsubscribed from Minecraft.
Yeah.
That would be that perspective. So I'm thinking, if you're trying to give that thing, it got that quite wrong. So yeah, but this is haunting and harrowing. I know those votes are coming in. I understand the S tiers. I'm going to push it into the A territory. Whilst noting I think you made a very good case, and I'm only doing this just because That was so thought-provoking. It knew its limits. That one is sticking with me. So I'm balancing it out. I could have gone into S tier, to be honest, but I'm bringing it down and balancing for you guys. I think that's fair. You'll forgive me, right, guys?
Like I said, it's your
think
stream.
A
You
is
do what you want.
understandable.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I went off on that one just because that one really worked for me. I'll try and be quicker. Next one is gosh. Should we cover The Nest?
Yeah, go on.
Sure.
Wait, hang on. Was that? No, TCG, you chose this one. I'll cover The Nest. The least YouTube friendly one. In very short order, you see a slightly warped lens, a wide lens, which has a distorting effect. View of a topless woman wearing on her lower half surgical trousers. She looks tired. She looks kind of out of it. You're in a dodgy looking garage, and she spends 9.5 minutes talking with a surgeon who is off camera, who's obviously a dodgy surgeon, about why she needs to have her left breast removed. She believes it's full of insects of some variety, and they have this great dialogue over how can she be sure, what does she want to do. Apologies, actually, I'll just interrupt here because I was rightly killed. Sorry, I got so into discussing that thing, I forgot we had a super chat. Patrick Batman, thank you for reminding me, and thank you very much for the £5. Asking how long will it take for political dissidents getting the same treatment? Villainize someone with enough propaganda? Well, in China right now.
I was going to say, you can make the argument that it's happening right now in some places.
Yes, I mean, it's...
maybe not to the extent that you're seeing on this, but, you know, I mean, what was that journalist's name, that Khashoggi geezer?
Yeah, Khashoggi. All the ones we don't hear about in China. I mean, Willie Bingham is basically a story about a depersoning, right? Like literally taking away someone's humanity bit by bit, especially when you've taken off his face. I think it's a good metaphor for how people are dehumanized by being demonized like that. And you can see it. You can see it. It's making you think about that kind of demonizing propaganda. So maybe not that far off, mate. I think certainly, I tell you what, especially in terms of parading someone in public, the way Willie is paraded in schools, you could say there's quite an aspect of that at the moment, that when someone is cancelled, it's done extremely publicly for a good reason. So you could say that's already happening. Thanks again for the £5. It's very much appreciated. And apologies, I got so wrapped up in that talk that I missed it. It's one of those things of, all right, I've got to get to that. I saw it come up. And then I went off on one about Foucault. So apologies. Here we go. Sorry, back on The Nest. I didn't mention this is directed by Cronenberg when did he do it? 2009? 2013?
I believe so, yeah.
What did I get? I've got it wrong here. Let's check. 9 years ago. Okay, so 2014. Not that long ago. Basically, this whole thing is just an extended dialogue where you're not sure who's right, if she's crazy, if she actually has something living inside of her. It's incredibly tense. There's so much in this that I absolutely loved. I'm going to restrain myself because I could go off on one, and I've already done it. So I'll hand over Fox. What did you think of The Nest?
Well, this is what I was kind of... I knew we were going to discuss it at some point. I just wish it never came. Like this movie or this short film, to me, if I could describe it in one word, uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable the entire time. Obviously, I think, the elephant in the room, she is topless the entire time.
This isn't one for the watching on the tube, is it?
No, absolutely not. And the POV shot is also puts you right in the shoes of the person who she's speaking to in a horror like short film, or whether it be a short film or a film. I love POV shots. I think they're so effective. They're such an effective way. And the ultra realism of this short film, it it can't be understated that it's one take, right? It's one take, back and forth, no cuts, just two actors that know their lines. They know the woman is amazing. She is really amazing of giving that kind of performance where I feel like, because they never answer it, she seems very abstract. She seems very kind of, I don't know, my assumption is that maybe she's been drugged or something, and she's giving these delusional statements which are really, really tough to see and to I mean, yeah, this is an uncomfortable watch for me personally. Because it is just so realistic. Obviously, this isn't even just like, I haven't even brought up the fact they're in some sort of basement or something, and she's speaking to a doctor who she believes to be a therapist. And should I say doctor?
Yeah.
It's not even
that's director, by the way. That is Cronenberg's voice, and the actress is Eveline Bruchot. I just, you're right. She does such an amazing job. We should credit her.
She does an amazing job, and if someone was to watch this, I think that there would be a possibility that you forget that this is a short film. I think there's a very realistic possibility that you see this and you think it's some sort of like released body cam footage from some sort of serial killer before he, did something awful. It's hyper realistic, and I also thought the ending, I wrote down as of note, because the doctor walks, or whoever this person is, the person with the camera, walks out of this seemingly basement, and she stays there, which makes me think that this is some sort of, I couldn't even tell you. It answers no questions, really. You always wonder who's the crazy one. Is it this person who's recording this, or is it her, because she's making outlandish statements? But I'm inclined to believe that what she believes, I'm inclined to believe that she is someone who needs help. I don't believe what she is saying, but I do believe that she something is up with her. And this is a short film that, it gives no answers.
Yeah, I mean, what is a good answer? Like, if she's correct, that is horrifying. Yeah. She has this, classic Cronenbergian condition here of body horror. If she's wrong, the surgeon's going to do it anyway. And I think from her rationalizing, if he does the surgery and there's no bugs, she will rationalize that they've traveled back inside her.
Yeah.
And that just stuck with me. Like, have you seen a lot of Cronenberg?
Personally, no, but I read some of the comments on that video, and they were saying some wild things about him as, like, I guess his experiences. Someone was saying some sort of thing that he had survived death when he was a child, and he woke up with like bugs eating his face or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't verify if that's true, but the story someone was saying was, it's almost like this, which happened to him. And I've not seen any of his movies, I don't think.
Does this make you want to see them, or are you thinking, heck no, not a chance?
Not really my style, personally. This is definitely the one that made me the most uncomfortable, so I have to give it props from a horror perspective, because this one to me was just quite a tough watch. Wasn't a kind of, I don't know, jump scare like, say, Lights Out, but it was this 10 minutes. You're just there for 10 minutes. And I think obviously she is naked, and that does add to it. She's, very exposed. It's just very raw. I think if I could describe this as one thing, it's just raw. It's, the hyper-realism does that.
Oh, that raw is fair. Raw is very fair. I've just grabbed a snip here because I want to show something about. Okay, this might look really bad here. Hang on.
Is there a sequel to this? Because I'm just looking up Cronenberg's IMDb, and there's a thing on here called Consumed, which has this woman in exactly the same situation.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I look into that and tell us about it. I just want to point out something about this set design that really helped. Like, this is to steal from Red Letter Media. You didn't notice it, but your brain did. And you do have a long time to look around this, but I watched it twice. And the second time I got a good look around the background. But first time I couldn't look away from the actress. She was so amazing in this.
Phenomenal.
But like this combination of like how can I say, updated technology. Yeah, by the way, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good, my cursor, good. This is a modern electric charging point, suggesting sort of up-to-date technology all the way. Like, he is a professional surgeon. All the best technology will do it prim and proper, but it's contrasted with this dirty brickwork. And it's that tension in there of, like, how reputable is this guy? And on the other side, you've got disturbing elements like a shovel, which you can just see there. You're like, what's going on there? Why is there a shovel?
Is that a crowbar as well next to it?
I think it's a brolly. It's a brolly.
Oh, yeah.
This was the area that really interested me. Over to the right, where you probably have time to notice, just this area that's been sort of highlighted to almost be cut out of the wall. Like, she's asking for her breast on that side to be cut out, and you've got the section of the wall where it looks like something was just taken out there.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, it's just subtly in there. It just doesn't belong. The bricks are a completely different size. And
yeah, you're right.
This is a sort of subtle subliminal thing. I made it so effective. I absolutely loved it. Let's knock that down. TCG, did you find out a bit more about this? Because you were saying it looks like they developed it into something bigger.
Oh, mate, no, no, sorry, I misread it. Consumed was a trailer for his debut novel of the same name, which I'm assuming is an expansion on this particular story.
Okay. So he's working. Well, you know, I can understand because it's a theme he's really interested in. Like, Cronenberg and body modification is a big thing, and he, you know, his last one was a film called Crimes of the Future.
Right.
Yeah, the subtleties in this are great. As Patrick Batman saying, it's subtleties and dialogue. There was a bit in this where the surgeon and the patient almost switched round. Like, did you notice he asks about the bugs in the breast, and then he had a way of saying, what if they draw back and cower in fear?
That's right, because they start talking about the surgery, because he almost sort of walks her back a little bit, like, because she's like, just get rid of the whole thing, and he's like, well, do we really have to do that? And she sort of like stops, pauses, and goes, well, maybe we could, you know, and then she like points towards Le Bouba, and then starts sort of like saying, oh, you know, maybe we can cut around here and, you know, take that bit off and like get them out that way. And it's almost like they're trying to like strategize the actual procedure together, as opposed to, you know, an actual I don't know, plastic surgeon, whatever, you know, doctor being like, this is how we're doing it. Just seemed a bit weird. It seemed a bit weird, a bit disturbing. Incredibly, yeah.
But sometimes he went from like using very, like you say, like planning managerial language into using just suddenly quite descriptive language. That bit where it's like cower and fear. I just thought that was weirdly invested. That was weirdly emotional language you used. And it just threw me off, and I was kept unbalanced throughout this whole thing. Oh, here we go. And another one, Patrick Batman. Good. This is a good catch. He says he isn't an expert on insects, but then identifies a specific insect. And I'm like, did he, is he just, what's the word? Is he basically BSing her? Is he, placating her? Is he placating her by saying, oh, actually, yeah, it's definitely this wasp. And he's just going to do the surgery anyway, and he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's also interesting as well that I think he says to her, I'm paraphrasing at one point, he's like, I've got no problem doing this operation. Like, I've got absolutely no problem. But then, like, spends a good part of the short film just essentially, like, not trying to talk her out of it per se, but, you know, being very much like, are you definitely sure you want to do this?
Yeah. It's, how can I say? This is the kind of thing Cronenberg has been in trouble for recently, or in slightly hot water. Given this film, given Crimes of the Future, a few people said, is this some kind of commentary on trans issues? David Cronenberg has denied it, said that's not what he was intending at all. He's touched on similar things throughout his entire career, and sort of body mod and incredibly uncomfortable sexuality are things that he's addressed in basically every single film. So it seems harsh to single him out, but at the same time, I would be surprised if he hadn't considered it. But I will avoid. I think we're probably best avoiding that particular hot potato.
I don't think that's what he was trying to talk about in this, if I'm honest.
If we're talking about 2014, it's quite ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really want to get drawn down that one, to be honest.
Yeah. It wasn't my reading personally. And also, if he's been doing it, I mean, I looked, he's 80 years old and stuff. So if that's been his entire career, obviously it's a very current topic. I mean, I couldn't speak for how it was before, but surely if he's, had a 50 or 60 year career, it wasn't as big of an issue that's in kind of the mainstream as it is right now. But I don't know the guy, so it's not what I read from this.
Yeah, I can totally see why that would be in there, but again, I'm tempted to say that not with Cronenberg because of the history. But I don't really want to go into that. I will instead give you a random Cronenberg fact. Did you know that he was in a Friday the 13th movie?
No,
which one?
Which one?
Jason X.
Oh! Hang on a minute. Was he? Yeah. Was he at the beginning of it?
He was.
He was one of the. Yeah, he was like one of those commanding soldiers, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And he was also in a cute little movie called To Die For by Gus Van Sant with Nicole Kidman.
Nice.
There's some throwbacks for you. Shall we? I don't know if we'll get through all these by the time we have our 10:30 shut off up. So I'll maybe move us to rating quickly.
So Adam Loves Horror just says, sorry, just very quickly, body integrity dysphoria is absolutely a theme here. They even discuss it together in a short. Yeah, absolutely. I just think if we're talking like specifically on the trans issue, I just don't think that was necessarily in the forefront. I can understand how people would connect the two dots now, as Fox says, because it's more of a mainstream topic now. But it's kind of like what the Wachowskis did with the Matrix in the years since. Nobody really saw that analogy at the beginning when it first came out, and it was only sort of like in the years since where they went, actually, yeah, do you know what? Yes, it was.
Trying to get me in trouble again, TCG.
Trying to get you in trouble, Horrorshow. Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, Fox, one of the few videos that actually took off and got touched by the algo was me throwing together a 6-minute quickie on why the Matrix does not make sense as an allegory for that. And people even though the Wachowskis later made a movie which obviously is that no one says is. And anyway, I will not be drawn down to that because it gets people very angry in the comments. But
yeah.
I tried to be so fair and reasonable and be like, look, they did do one about that. It's just not the Matrix. Anyway, I won't be drawn in. Sorry. Shall we rank The Nest?
Yeah.
And TCG, would you like to get the first suggestion out there? Sort of.
Yeah, sure, of course. Double D.
A D.
In all fairness, this one is proper creepy, and you know we do love a bit of old Cronenberg, don't we?
Oh yes.
So yeah, I think this was a solid one. Very very sort of creepy video. You don't really know what's going on. You don't really know if the people or if the person behind the camera is exactly who they say they are. But yeah, I think this was like a solid. I'd say I'm gonna okay, maybe a bit harsher, but I'm gonna say B.
All right.
But I liked it. I really liked it. I thought it was very very good.
Nice. Adam Loves Horror is correct. They even said the Latin name for the specific affliction. I'm afraid I can't remember it. But yeah, they did specifically name it, so he's absolutely right there. How about you, Fox? We got an early B.
Okay, so from the thing is, this was the one that made me the least comfortable out of all of them. Which surely, I guess, if we're talking from a horror movie standpoint, would put it higher. That said, I wouldn't want to see any more of it. But that's the kind of I guess how like the trade-off. That one, I've almost got to say S because it was for me the creepiest, I guess. But it's the one I enjoyed the least, or maybe one of the ones I enjoyed some of the least. So take that what you will. It was a tough watch, and I guess if we're taking it through a horror movie standpoint, for this one, I think I have to give it an S.
Excellent. Purely because I was going to go for an S myself. I was wondering, because it's Cronenberg, he has the money to do some effects, and I wondered if we were going to see a scalpel going in or some like CGI of like just the scalpel touches, and then you see lots of like rippling under the surface as bugs move, and it was going to cut to black. That's what I was expecting, and it didn't do that. It just left me totally on edge.
I was going to say we had a little pen action.
That was the most disturbing biro I've ever seen on cinema.
I know.
Like the tension when he touches in his like clinical way. Cronenberg plays doctors a lot, by the way. You remember he was a gynecologist in The Fly.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. TCG, I hope you don't mind if we go for an S on this one.
Oh, go on then.
All right.
I will allow it as it's Cronenberg. Fine.
Hey, excellent. I still need to see Crimes of the Future. I meant to. I like it. Right, here we go. I'll see how we do with this one, guys. We might struggle. So, Fox, would you like O or The Dinner After? Both on Horror Short channel Alter.
Okay, so I quite liked one of these, and I didn't like the other. So I guess it makes sense to talk about the one that I liked.
Hang on, can I guess?
Go for it.
I think you liked The Dinner After.
I was going to say that.
No.
What?
Oh, you are totally throwing me off, Fox.
Yeah. The Dinner After.
Okay.
It was just the car scene when it was like the kind of wrestle on the ground, reach for an object to hit him off. I was like, that's, I don't know. I've just seen that too many times. I was like, for me, it didn't seem that appropriate for the movie.
I went off it at that exact moment.
Yeah.
Whereas I was trying to swing it round into, we're kind of in a David Lynch mode here, where everything we're seeing is someone's internal perspective and wishes. And, but yeah, that lost it for me because it felt too standard.
Yeah. For me, O though was I really did enjoy it.
All right, we'll talk about O.
Because I guess we should just say this is so beautiful. I thought this was a really beautiful film.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Would you like to talk people through it for people who have not seen it? And by the way,
Okay.
all of these are on YouTube, folks. Every single one of them is on YouTube.
So I think the short film opens in on a on some sort of woman who opens her mouth, and it's this amazing little transition. She kind of forms her mouth into like a circle, kind of an O shape, and it zooms in, and we see this hole in the wall, to which another woman, I guess, spots us. For a good minute or so, there's this kind of fisheye lens. We're almost looking through this kind of fisheye lens to this woman who just very creepily, for about 20 or 30 seconds, just stares and gives this amazing, creepy smile at us, kind of made huge by the perspective. She almost looks like a bit of a giant. And then from there, the rest of the short is the woman is fascinated by this this hole in the wall. Then she comes back the next day. I think she spends all day looking at it.
Yeah.
She eventually goes away. She comes back and it's gone. And then from there, the next few minutes, she tries to find different holes. So she gets her fix. Instead of there being a hole in the wall, she'll see the circular, I guess, shape of her coffee cup, or the Hoover, or eventually her own mouth, and her own belly button. And she has this fascination when she sees a hole, she must put her hand in it. To which, if you're putting your hand in, a boiling cup of coffee, it's going to burn. If you put it down your Hoover, it's going to, mess it up. If you put it down your throat, you might kill yourself. And if you're putting it inside your own belly button, it's, it's not good news. And I think as it goes on, she gets more distressed and more distressed. And then it becomes quite abstract, where I think it goes into her belly button. It's kind of hard to describe. It goes into her belly button, and then there's like her she's kind of covered in dust and rubble, and she's got a hole in her own like head. And I guess it's kind of hard to describe after that. And what else? I think then it shows that she put her hand through her own belly button, and then she's like kind of laying there, dying or dead. It's kind of a hard one to describe because it is quite an abstract movie.
That's fair to say. That's a bit of an understatement. Thank you, Patrick Batman, very much for £5. Hidden meaning: it's about a proctologist having no work during lockdown. Well, Patrick, this film does feature some rear projection, so maybe you're correct. That's the best pun of the month, and I still shouldn't have done it. But thank you very much, Patrick. Very generous tonight. And also Adam Loves Horror coming in with $2. Thank you so much. Was legit scared watching this, and then the metaphors hit, and I'm going to take that as an S+. Well, we'll get to the rankings on this one, but obviously, yeah, totally. Come on. Anyway, we have to do the pretense of being fair. Like, I'm not going to slap this straight at the top. TCG, how'd you find this one?
Oh, you know how I felt about this.
Yeah, I love it when I get live chats from you whilst watching.
There was a certain comparison I kept drawing to this film. And it kind of took me out a little bit.
Wait, can I guess what it was? Is it like another movie comparison?
No.
Oh, okay. Because that was a movie that I was thinking about once or twice.
I was, of course, talking about the popular TV show Hole in the Wall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just staring at a hole, waiting for something to happen. Oh, I better reach into the hole. Oh, I have a big smile on my face now. Yeah. No, do you know what? All jokes aside, I did like rate it after she left the weird wall in the in the bricks and went home and started going through. I did sort of say quite early on to myself, like after she like covered up all the mugs with like tape. She's sitting there and her belly button's exposed, and I just sort of thought to myself, you need to do something about that belly button.
That's good directing then.
Yeah, because you're going to do something with that belly button, aren't you? But like, cover it up now. And then, oh my God, when she started like, I mean, I hate like my kids sometimes when they're mucking about with me. Sometimes they'll try like tickling, and then they'll like accidentally like put their like go towards my belly button. I hate it. And when she started doing that. When she started doing that, like started putting her own hand into the belly button, it would just honestly, my own belly button was just like in pain because of it.
It's perfect horror technique. Is something that's extreme but relatable.
Yeah,
you can't imagine a chainsaw on the frenulum. You can imagine like a horrible, like a nail being pulled off. You can imagine that. You've been close to it. You can imagine a horrible paper cut. You can imagine a finger being broken back. That's extreme, but something you can relate to, and that will get the biggest response.
Yeah, I just thank God she didn't do anything with her eyes, you know, because you can't really do something about the old black holes in the middle.
Yeah, chat is throwing in the lates with the. Is it Super Nanny who comes up when you put a late in? Yes, it is.
It is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're 2 minutes over. Oh God.
I'm going to be honest, guys. Not a chance. We'll just cover this one, but Super Nanny is just going to have to think how good we were last week.
It did sort of like throw me off though when like you've got her belly button crust turns out to be the bad guy.
It was very abstract.
Gosh.
Yeah. That kind of like threw me off a little bit.
I mean, in terms of it's abstract, but I think just to finish up something you highlighted on TCG, because when you said it, I thought, oh my gosh, it's a theme. We said it a load, but the really strong ones set up a rule, and you become invested because you know what that rule is, and you want to see where it goes. So when you said, I saw that belly button, I thought, you got to take care of it. It's like, yeah, brilliant. The storytelling has totally worked.
Yes.
You've got the logic. It's not coming out of nowhere. You're bought into the world of the film and the protagonist's POV. Fox, you said it was very abstract. I was just wondering, I've got my own take on this, but what do you think it was telling you?
So I like basically I watched it, and then I saw in the description it revealed what the story was about, the metaphor, and I had kind of clocked onto that, but I wasn't 100% sure. And when you know it, it's like, oh yeah, of course. But I think there would be a few people that would watch this and would not piece it together.
That's fair enough.
Do I have to like reveal what it was?
Oh yeah,
please
totally.
do.
Full spoilers.
I didn't read the description.
So it was about addiction.
Okay.
And obviously the first hole in the wall was that kind of first bit where she was very happy about it. Then it gets taken away and she looks for a more extreme substitute, which damages her health because she just has to go further and further and further to get that fix. I don't think this was intended by the filmmakers whatsoever, but there was one shot where she's lying down with all of the things around her. And before she curls up into a ball, that kind of it reminded me of that shot from American Beauty. But the exact opposite, where it's like, instead of it being rose petals and like kind of glamorous, it's just black and bleak and like terrifying. I don't know. I probably not like meant by by whoever made this, but I did kind of clock that. It did kind of remind me of the American Beauty shot.
Why not? Yeah, I mean, that was all about a false glamour, and in this one, it's just harsh reality straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was beautiful. That shot of her running upstairs it looked like something out of the golden age of Hollywood. Like, it was seriously beautiful, and no dialogue either. Black and white, no dialogue.
Yeah.
Oof.
I love how it sold it, like the obvious logic of the mouth. And I forgive me, I chose this screenshot just because it switched it up, and it's obviously oh gosh, YouTube algorithm. Obviously, it's kind of an eating disorders thing, imagery as well. It's not specifically just drugs and addiction. I think it's all kinds of compulsion. That she just becomes fixated on. Like when she puts her arm in eventually, the first time, and gives in, she comes out and she's got 2 little punctures on the inside of her elbow, like some kind of injection. But the film goes wider than that, and I think when it throws in, like, you might say, a self-harm compulsion, the monetization's gone, isn't it? And then this shot bringing in kind of disordered eating as well. It makes the theme much more applicable, and to try and really reach for the stars, S-Club style. The fact that it showed holes in the belly button, holes in the mouth, holes in the eyes, and ultimately when you're in that kind of dreamscape where there's a hole in her head, I was kind of viewing that as saying the hole is the thing you become fixated on. It's the source of the compulsion. But the fact is, we have these holes in us. It's like basically it's within us to have the capacity to feel this compulsion. It's like it's deeply in us. It's not an alien thing. And that's what makes it such a threat, that basically we could all fall victim to it. I don't know if you take the reading that way.
I suppose it's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, so I just I was taking the symbolism like that, and that just made it hit for me. There was so much amazing visuals in this.
Yeah, I think it's ripe with symbolism as well, because I didn't even clock onto the fact that it could be an ED story as well. But now that you have that shot up, no, you're absolutely right. And yeah, I thought this was a really good one personally. Like it is just so beautiful. It's so well shot. It's very sinister. The smile she gave at the very start, she has an amazing way of being able to kind of like, her physical acting physically is just amazing for her.
Yeah. Oh, she was so good. She was so good.
It was very much like something out of Smile, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's very recent. I think it was posted to Alter, which is a shorts horror compilation channel. In hang on, I want to say November. It's
it's 3 weeks old. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I was wondering like if you knew someone involved with this, which is why you put it up, because it was so recent.
It was recommended, but I think Patrick Batman recommended it, and absolute beauty it was.
This will win awards, I think. It's an amazing film.
It should. Oh, hang on, we've got it here. Adam has clarified something I was wondering about. He says it came out 6 months before Smile. Which like the Smile is one aspect of it, but obviously I did think of the film Smile, which, by the way, guys, I know it got dragged. That Smile was really good.
I've not seen it.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, people are harsh on it, but that film had. I mean, in fairness, you know me. If a film has good symbolism, I uprate it hugely. I've got my own biases. Also, it had Jesse T. Usher in it, who I thought did a pretty solid job, and some good cats. Anyway, so yeah, the smile that she does at the start, the fixation, it's extremely creepy, but it's only a tiny bit of the movie.
Yeah.
Like there's so much else going on here that this is amazing. The director is, let me get that up. I want to say Dan Bartok. I'm mangling that and I want to get that right. What's his name? Apologies. Dominic Belko. Not even close. Not even close. And it seems to be based in Germany from the web name. So keep an eye on this guy. I'm going to immediately look up what else he's done, because I thought this was so darn good. We're massively over super. We usually cut things off at 10:30. I thought we were ambitious tonight, but I couldn't leave it on this. TCG, did you have any more on this, mate?
Not really. Not really. It was very good. It was very, very good. Some great shots, some great effects. The only criticism I do have is that when she put her hand in the cup and burned her hand, none of the coffee actually overflowed out of the cup.
Oh yeah, it was an obviously empty cup.
yeah. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, I'd say I didn't like the shot where she sort of flicked blood off. That felt. I mean, this is such a nitpick. I'm just trying to find a criticism to make.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt a bit like, oh, we got to show some blood. There's a bit of claret.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought that the horror of like the burned hands and the skin being sort of probably sucked away for anyone trying to clip.
Yeah.
Sucked away by the Hoover was already really creative imagery that was just like viscerally something you could empathize with.
Yeah.
There's my random criticism. Fox, have you got anything? We got to throw a criticism at it.
In terms of critique, I wrote down that there was a kettle with the kettle whistle blowing is a little bit overplayed for my liking. It happens in a lot of things and stuff. I was like, okay, maybe that's a little bit cliche. Apart from that, I also thought isn't the shot where she's like kind of in that dreamscape place and there's a hand reaching in, I thought was kind of cool because it was almost like back at the start where you're in the hole and she's reaching in. So I thought that was good. I think my only that was
darn it. I hadn't seen that. Yeah,
it kind of reminded me.
Oh, yeah, it does sort of go
especially
full
because it was at
circle,
the
doesn't
start
it?
and the end. Like a hole, which makes it even better.
Yeah. And it also represents that circle of behavior as well when it comes to addiction.
Yeah.
My
only thing was the kettle whistle. So the kettle whistle kind of sucked, but also the circular motion of at the start and the end.
Brilliant. Fair play. Oh well, chaps, shall we rate this one?
I mean, for me personally, it's got to be S. For me personally, I would go. This was probably the best one I think that we saw, because I think it was long enough. It wasn't too long. I think there was just a lot to say. As just like the kind of prisoner guy, there was a lot to say in there, but it was also creepy, and I don't think I can let The Nest be the only one up in S, because that one did make me super uncomfortable. I'm happy to put this one at an S.
I won't argue for a second.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going to have The Nest up in S, you've got. I mean, I rated O better than higher than The Nest.
Yeah.
So you got to have it up there.
No disagreement from me. I'm seeing A tiers in here. Mergoot has dropped $2 to say $2 for the Blockbuster yellow PVC paneling. Where? It in my C here? I'm a little confused, but I am grateful. Also, I think that's slightly... No, that is a bit too pale for Blockbuster yellow. I can get you the RGB codes if you want, because I had to get paint made up in that exact colour. That's another story. Thank you very much, Mergoot. Much appreciated. We will have to draw it in there. We gave quick thoughts on the dinner after, but I think I want to do this again, and we will return and give the dinner after a full review. I think I'll keep this setup, to be honest, and we can add other things to it. But yeah, I wasn't sure how this would go, to be honest, but I think this format worked quite nicely.
I think so too.
So do I. I just want to very quickly say, if we were going to do the dinner after, I would have thrown it. I would have thrown it in the A section personally.
Really?
Should we do a cheeky rating? Just a quick rating and a short commentary, very short commentary on it. Go on.
Yeah, I just think it's a very good story about grief. And also just the parents just turning around and going absolutely loopy was quite cool. I do see where you were coming from about the car scene, you know, when the car crashes and whatnot. But I feel like it was just her going through the motions in a sort of what would her parents' perception be, you know, that resentment, that depression. It felt very much like a story about grief and the guilt of her, because obviously she was responsible for the car crash that killed her sister. Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
I saved this image from it because it looks like he's about to say, "Great party, isn't it?"
Yeah,
For any of you.
It's a great shot because it's when like she's like, "Oh, you're right, Dad," and he sort of sits up and it's like bang straight onto the table. It's like, where did that come from?
It catches you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. The themes are strong and the grief and guilt is expressed really interestingly. Yeah, so you've gone for an A on that one, TCG. Yeah, all right. Fox, how about yourself? Quick rating.
I'll have to. I guess I'm gonna have to be the Simon Cowell once more because I just wasn't big on this one. I think it's completely fair, TCG. I think I think your rating is fair. For me, it was just the entire thing with the car. I think the second half, I think it just kind of pulled apart. The first half was interesting because it was a little bit. I liked when the questions weren't answered, and then obviously. You start to piece it together, which I think is kind of nice, but just everything in that kind of car scene, it just for me doesn't work. And yeah, I also, I mean, I don't want to say too much on performances and stuff, because we've mentioned very good performances, but the main actress I wasn't entirely convinced by. So for me personally, I'd probably give this maybe a C or a D. I'd probably put C, D borderline would be my personal placing.
Interesting. That's absolutely fine. Rate however you want to rate. And I hadn't really thought of the acting level. I thought she was okay, but I wouldn't say astounding. But okay, interesting. We've got an A, we've got a C/D. For me, I'm not trying to just sit on the fence, but I am about a B. Really interesting idea behind it. Visuals are stunning. Some really nice touches. I loved when she went in, when you get an idea of what was going on after being made just really uncomfortable while you're trying to work it out. I really liked when she went into her hall and suddenly all the photos were of a car. And
yeah,
that was my favorite bit from it. But exactly as you said, I just didn't go for what happened in the car for the logic of it. I felt that was moving it into more standard territory when it had previously been wonderfully weird.
Yeah, I think I was being a bit hard. I think C for me is kind of fair. I understand it being in a B. And I do. There's definitely a lot to say. Like the car scene, although I didn't buy it, I thought it was beautiful. Like the lights out there and stuff, and the set is. I mean, it's there was a lot of production to this one compared to some of these, and it was all good. And it was kind of sinister at the start, and it was kind of you were asking questions and stuff. I just think the longer this went on, at least for that scene there, that's just the one that for me I just couldn't get behind, and it was such an important scene to the plot. But I do think B is fair.
I feel harsh saying it, but how can I say, this one did overstay its welcome for me a bit. And it's the only one where I really felt, you're just in there a few minutes too long. I also should have mentioned quickly, I got good Eraserhead vibes from it. Good, like awkward, nightmarish dinner scene Eraserhead vibes. I should put that in there. And Patrick Batman is indeed right. Yes, I will rate it higher because the main character doesn't eat chicken. Yes, we are chicken appreciators here. They are good for cuddling.
That was the most British dinner. Like when I saw it, was like kind of, what was it, boiled veg?
Yeah.
Like kind of, I was like, is that,
hello dear, have some slop.
That down. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, Bless him, bless him. Oh, we are getting absolute. Someone, Furman is being posted now. James Furman is being posted. Yes. Oh, we really need to call it a day. All right. Well, I have really enjoyed this. It's been great. I think Bilbo said he wanted to see the format again. Who said? Patrick Batman wants more of these streams, and who else said that? Yeah, Bilbo did say keen to see the formula again. I'm really happy to do this one again. This was great fun. This was really great fun. I hope you guys had a good time.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, thank you very much for.
Yeah,
for
we
inviting me.
we definitely need to add to this tier list. It's looking a bit bare at the moment.
We can build this.
So we should definitely build up on it.
I'd love to. I will hit you up with further dates. And Fox, I really like what you brought to this with the analysis, and you caught some great stuff, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and of course, thanks again, the Enriab and Patrick Batman for suggesting a lot of these shorts that were in there. I don't think I'd have ever found them without you guys, and I'm a little bit hooked. I'm a little bit hooked on them. We'll be returning to this, and again, the Enriab dropping 50 memberships, absolute star. Thank you so much. Well, that is this for the stream. We are decidedly late, but it's Christmas. Super Nanny will forgive us. We've been very prompt recently. She'll let us off. So massive thanks to my guests again. You can find their channels in the description. Definitely check out Fox. Definitely check out TCG, and go and give Dire Trip's latest video a go. As we said, he's a good lad, friend of the channel. Thank you, chat, for being nice and lively, also being extremely generous. It is very much appreciated with Christmas around the corner. I will post a members-only post with a link to the members playlist tomorrow, and you can enjoy the content there. It's all connected for you. And I think that is everything. So I will leave it there and sign off as I always do. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
#Shield Gang.